everybody. So, as you can see on my screen, what we are playing today, I am beyond excited. But for those who are not aware of this game, it is Our Life Beginning and Always. Oh my gosh. So, this was a request by Awkward Bean, and I have to say that because anytime, and I will at least try to remember this because I'm absolutely terrible at this, but I was waiting for Awkward Bean to say that. But anytime that I get a game request by anybody, and I usually say it in the chat as well, I will say the game request, or I will say the game, and I will say who requested it just as a shout out because it's out of respect. So, but enough of me talking. I will shut up and we will start playing. Let's try this. And I don't usually show my face either, so, you know, this one's new. Okay, wait, so, new file. Okay, I was like, this is not working all of a sudden. Okay, really quick, sorry. Step 4, adulthood. I should probably be reading it out loud. Oh, I'm reading it slow so you guys can read along. But Our Life is further divided into sets of visits that take place during specific periods of time. There are called moments. Moments can be played in any order or skipped entirely. You move on to the next step whenever you want to be selected that summer is ending. Steps 1 to 3 include 5 moments each, and even more can be unlocked by purchasing DLCs. Some are out now, and DLCs will be released later. Step 4, epilogue, and doesn't include moments. A lot happens over the years and go by, especially in regard to the character you play as. You determine your everything about the main character: name, appearances, personality, pronouns, interests, skills, their relationship, major characters, and so on. You decide to change the details as time goes on with a few expectations: your last name, skin tone, and eye color. You can't alter one set. Much of the MC's basic traits determined on a character's certain screens, and the MC grows up and more options become available on screen. Hold on 1 second. Yes, and I have caffeine finally. As mentioned, one of the decisions you'll get to make for your character is selecting a name, and you can type in any name you like and pick a present name. Present name options are called voice names because the name will be voiced aloud by the romantic lead. You'll get to hear him say your name, and you play throughout the story. Hi Hunter, how are you? Only the default name Jamie is included in the base game. Hundreds more can be added by getting a free voice name expansion DLC. The full collection is separated out of the DLCs because of how large it is. If you're not interested in that feature, you don't need to get it. Each name is DLC belongs to or was selected by someone who supported the project. On the character's creation screen, there is a cute doll that you can decorate to get an idea of your MC's look like, different traits put together. Not all of the things you decide about the MCs appear on the doll. The script referencing that you decide for the MC, the main way those decisions influence the game. Our Life has a first-person perspective, so your character does not appear next to the other character's spirits. You only see the MCs as a decorative doll and a special cut in CG images. The cut in CG images only appear if certain choices are made. It's impossible not to see any during a playthrough. There's also a second type of special MC screen, the interaction/comfort screen. Unless the DLC, the game has one love interest, Cove Holden. He grows up with MCs, and love interest comfort screen is crucial for determining how this plays out. Interest love sets how much you love him, how much you like him. There are 4 levels: disinterest, fond, crush, and love. Love is available starting in step 3, and if you were at fond or crush in step 2. Comfort determines how you generally think when it comes to him. There are 3 levels: nervous, relaxed, and direct. Your love interest and comfort will set the type of dynamic your character has with the love interest. What you did in the past will influence your present feelings, change over time. You get to pick your love interest comfort nearing the beginning of every step. Comfort can switch between 3 levels as you please. Your interest level can stay the same or increase. Your current level of interest will become the new lowest options of the screen in the future. For example, if you decide Fawn, step 1, this interest will not be available on the screen in step 2, which will make Fawn the bottom level option for your relationship. Love or interest level has an impact when it comes to physical interacting with Cove. While growing up, things are rather simple. If you get along with one another and your close relationship, you choose to touch him. Cove will occasionally interact with the MCs in a light-hearted or comforting ways, but starting in step 3, touching can become more romantic and suggestive if you are in crush or love. To make sure things go nicely, there will be extra choices to determine level and a bonus mini tutorial that goes along with the choice that explains feature in more detail. Basically, if even you decide you like Cove, the game won't force you to act on those feelings. Yay, the game won't force you! Oh shit. Oh boy, did I press the wrong button, whoops. Can stay and increase. Will become on screen in the future. Rather simple while growing up. Oh shit. Okay, there, force, okay. You can always choose not to get together with him, chose to accept or give romantic gestures if you decide to date Cove, though you can't break up with him later. Okay. Android/Comfort gets basics down, but the choices that appear throughout normal game events that decide what actually happens between MC and Cove. And it isn't only the MC who is impacted by your decisions. Cove grows and changes over the years. How he's treated and experiences help shape who he becomes. Why do I feel like I'm already going to screw this character up and we haven't even started yet? Great, I'm going to start a game that I have to talk in, and I'm losing my voice. Oh, goody. In step 2 and step 3, Cove's personality, appearances, interest will vary based on what happened in the previous step. It's something of a mysterious exactly how your decisions end up changing him, and you try to guess as you go along. No, it's good. It's fine. Or if you prefer, you can always just design your own idea of Cove directly using the Cove creation options that pop up in the beginning in step 2 and 3. I'm already confused, but I'll get it as soon as the tutorial is over, I feel. Making the choices you want is always more important than making choices because you feel like you have to in order to get a certain result. Okay, yeah, exactly. I feel like, okay, see, that makes me feel a lot more confident that I can make the choices I want versus, and how I feel versus in a certain result to get a certain result. Okay, that makes me feel a lot better. When a choice does appeal, usually you'll see that hovering the cursor over an option shows a certain color, yellow, blue, or green. The colors aren't related to a specific point or effects. They're only to give a bit more insight or tone/emotion, since the text alone can't potentially be read in more than one way. Blue tends to be casual, straightforward, yellow more emotional, reactive, and green less certain, uncommitted. Yes, I feel like your choices do matter, and that's what makes me nervous, because I already have anxiety in real life with choices that matter, and then it's a game. Oh, yay! This is why I have my camera on, because, you're going to see. You're just going to see. So, there are hundreds of options in our life, not choices, menus. Menu falls in line with that pattern. Picking just one color every time does not give the gameplay benefit. Only stick to a certain type if that's what you happen to like, otherwise switch between them freely. Always pick yellow, never pick yellow. Pursue romantic right from the start, never romantic love interest that be disagreeable or admirable. None of them will lead to a bad ending. You're welcome to enjoy the event, shape the story without reservation, and then if you like, you can play again and try something new. There is only ever more good content to discover. We hope You'll have a nice time with our life. Thank you for playing. Aww. I'm always kind of a sucker for blue eyes, even though... I'm trying to see all the options here, people. Ooh, I actually like... Wait, where's that one hair? Ooh, I actually like that one hair. Ooh, I actually like that one hair. Haha, hi, Sir Blindo. What's up? We all know what color we're aiming for, right? Like, we all know what we're running towards. Yeah, I hope everybody already knows. My character... Hold on. Sorry. We're gonna turn my camera off for 1 second so you don't have to see this. Hold on. That way you guys didn't have to hear that. Alright. Ooh. Okay, let's see. Let's go. I actually have been liking... There we go. I've been liking going by Eli. Let's go by my drag name, Eli Andrews. They, them. What does voice name mean? Oh yeah, I don't know what that means, but okay. Ooh. We can, like, really... That's pretty cool. That's pretty neat. Cove can say your name. That's pretty cool. Okay. I actually like how I look. I actually genuinely like how I look. Excuse me. Here we go. Summer in Sunset Bird was a special time of year. Your usually sleepy town began to bustle. Okay. It was a popular tourist destination with people coming from all over to enjoy the beach, the weather, and the relaxation that comes with both. I swear to God. I'm not going to have a voice after this. The smell of the ocean, crisp salty, hung in the air, bringing 3 whole months of school less vacation with it. During the summer, your mom didn't like you wandering too far outside your neighborhood, so you knew the area pretty well. That included the people. Families came and went from the Sunset Bird, but they mostly stayed in and did what your mom called putting down roots. They built businesses, they got to know each other, and they definitely said hello to the nice young kids who waved when passing their stores. Going for a walk around town mostly meant the family's friendly residents waved or asked how your family's was, or most said hello. I'm so sorry, hold on 1 second. I think you guys heard that. Sorry about that. I muted the wrong mic. Sorry about that. I didn't mean for you guys to hear that. Okay. Okay. You didn't really get why they always said hi. You always saw them every day. You just nodded back and at them anyway. You know I'm saying hi a lot to different people. Since most of them were tourists, they came and went every summer. Were they the same ones? You were too anxious to say hi back, and most of them were other residents you greeted. But they all knew you well enough to expect that. Ooh. We're gonna go off what I did when I was a little kid. I said hi to everybody. Nowadays, I'd be too anxious, but I would say I ended up saying hi to a lot of different people. I'm gonna say that one. You enjoyed learning all about where they were visiting from, and hoped to visit those places one day too. But today there was a man sitting on the curb outside your house. He was sitting with his head in his hands, his whole body slumped over, and you wondered why, even if he was a real person or a statue that magically sprung up from the ground overnight. Yeah. Whoever, whatever he was, you had never seen him before. Hi, Raptor. How are you? Okay, so for those coming in really quick, hi, my name is Bisky. I'm a variety streamer. Today we are playing Our Life Beginning and Always. I wanted to make sure I said that right. And we are just starting. So hello, sit back and have fun. One thing not knowing everybody in Sunset Boulevard or Sunset Bird was that people who you didn't recognize really, really stood out. It was rare for tourists to venture into the resident district, as your mom called it. So for you, not knowing who a total stranger was set off a lot of red flags. Your mom had talked with you and your big sister Lizzie about the kind of situation before. You hadn't exactly been listening at the time. You think it could be okay to talk to new people. They mentioned that some people aren't good to talk to, but other types of people can help even if you don't know them. You remember, it's okay to run away if you feel uncomfortable. You don't have to worry about being polite to them. We're going to go with the first one. But you weren't sure about this man yet. Still, you felt a little bit scared not knowing that he was blocking the way of your front door. But you were pretty interested. You wanted to know more about what was going on. Whether he was nice or not, you didn't want to be bothered. Yes, hi, my camera's on for a change. What's up? Not knowing, but he was blocking your front door. Pretty interested. You want to know more about what's going on. We're going to get a second one. You slow down. Your eyes remain fixed on the man. Hold on. Excuse me. There was a split second where your eyes met and you knew he was aware he wasn't alone on the street anymore. Hey. You raised your eyebrows at the shout. Did he want something? Is that why he was here? The man stood up and started to make his way toward you. Not wanting to seem too approached, you folded your arms and stared. Still unsure about him, you were willing to be friendly. You offered the stranger a smile. Your whole body was frozen in place as he approached. Let's go. But you're willing to be friendly. We're willing to be friendly. The man gives you a grin of his own back. Ooh. Do you live around here? What's your name? You looked up at the man, taking his tan skin and relaxed appearance. At least his clothes were relaxed. The way he was acting wasn't. He had sharks in his shorts and stingray tattoo. And wondered if he was obsessed with the ocean or something. While you made your assessment, he looked at you expectantly, wanting an answer to his question. Yeah, I live here. There. My name's Eli. You continue to say nothing. I'll say my name's Eli. Great, nice to meet you, Eli. He gave me a broad smile, relief settling on his face. He reached in his pocket, pulled out a clean $20 bill. It crinkled in his hand as he held it up. Even more confused than before, he looked back. You looked back at him. Good God. Well, could you do me a favor? Nothing bad. I should. Let me start over. He cleared his throat and stood up straighter. From where you're standing, it made him look creepier. I have a son. His name is Cove. He's about your age. Cove. That seemed like a strange name for an actual living person. He chewed on you chewed on the inside of your cheek. The guy was definitely obsessed with water. You thought that was pretty cool. I'm actually going to go with you thought that was pretty cool, because that actually was pretty cool. You never met someone with that name. Cove's dad. We moved in across the street, see? Oh, I forgot to point out really fast. Blake did show me bits and pieces of the game and the people, so I kind of already knew ahead of time, at least of this character. I knew of him, but I didn't want to really give away anything. But that's all I'm giving away. I know of characters, don't know like in the game who they are and blah 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 blah. But I'm not gonna say when and it, But this one particularly, I was very excited about. I just didn't show it, but just saying. He gestured toward the house and that had been empty for a year, his watch catching the late afternoon sunlight and reflecting off the walls. A gigantic for sale sign was finally gone. Cove's dad. You must be Eli Andrews, right? I met your mom's earlier and they told me you were 8, like him. So he took the $20 bill to bring back to attention and hopefully smiling, tilting his lips at the corners. Cove's dad. Can you try to be friends with the boy? His dad's giving me $20 to be his friend. That's funny. Just give it a chance. You'll keep this. He's a good kid. You'll like him. I just like that. Wait. There we go. Wait. There you go. There we go. But you gotta keep it a secret, too. It wouldn't be friendly to say your dad sent you. You eyed the man. You kind of felt sorry for Cove. Did the other kids really get parents to pay for their friendship? Ooh. It's these two that you eyed the man. You felt sorry for Cove. You eyed the man. No. I really like, Definitely wasn't the normal way kids made friends. You knew that. What do you say? Can we make a deal? Want to make a deal? You took the bill. You didn't want the money. You ran away. You took the bill. You carefully plucked the bill from the outstretched hand, grinning at the thought that you could do with the cash. All the sweets you could ever want. You could buy a ticket to the newest movie at the cinema. There was a cute stuffed animal you had seen in the store. It cost a few dollars to set up a library card. With this, you could pay for it yourself instead of having your mom do it. You weren't even sure yet. The sky was the limit with that kind of amount. The man smiled, his eyes crinkled at the sides as you did. Great, that's great. I'll bring him by tomorrow. I just want to meet you and greet you, with the neighbors, but, well, I don't know where he's gotten off to. He laughed when he said that, but with the way his face looked, you thought he actually wanted to cry. If you see him, you can tell him to come home. He got a pink cast and glasses on. You can't miss him. Oh, can I keep this either way? Sure thing, I can try. Okay, sure thing. That definitely wasn't the normal way kids made friends. You knew this, but still you were going to help. You were going to help. The man smiled and reached out to pat you on the head, paused before doing this, and then pulled away instead. When I tell you my jaw was on the floor, I know, right? Your mom's already checking around for me. Such a thoughtful group you are. Now I better go look too. Can't put everyone else to work while I keep sitting here. I thought he might come back, and that's not what's important. I have to go. Again, thanks Eli so much. He jogged off down the street without another word. He decided to check the hills behind your house. That was really cute. Step 1, first sight. That was really cute, by the way. That was adorable. Alright, really quick, before we lose, like, all our progress. Like, God forbid. Because I know my dumb luck, and my computer will do something stupid and I'll lose it all. The chirping of crickets in the tall grass greeted you. Greeted you, quiet and familiar. From the top of the hill, you could see the ocean. As you walked and listened to the crash of the waves in the shore, and the seagulls squawking, "Wah!" as they settled down for the night. You always loved the ocean. It was so much fun. You loved to hear the stories about the sea, about the merfolk and the serpents you imagined living beneath the waves. You didn't enjoy the beach at all, especially the sand, and it got absolutely everywhere. I love the sea serpents in the sea. Hold on 1 second. Sometimes you can almost convince yourself that you had the flash of shiny mermaid tail in the distance. You could have seen a flash of a shiny mermaid's tail in the distance. You took a deep breath. You wanted to try and relax, and you couldn't. You weren't sure what, but something told you that you weren't alone, and you glanced around. Blake's gonna lose his shit in a second if this is who I think it is. Blake's gonna lose his shit if it's who I think it is. There was a boy sitting at the top. Yep, it's who I think it is. There was a boy sitting at the top of the hill, almost completely hidden with the long grass, white flowers surrounding him. Yep, that's who I thought it was, because I just saw the pink gas. I'm like, yep, it's who I thought it was. His head was buried in his knees, staring ahead by himself. For whatever reason, probably just that he wasn't paying attention, he hadn't noticed you yet. You watched him a minute longer, feeling a little bit like you found a deer in the wild. Though deer didn't have sad frowns. Sorry, I have to read it. Green hair, wavy eyebrows, huge glasses, pink cast, sad frowns. I'm actually, okay, so really quick, I'm also reading this because I have a visually impaired person watching this, and I'm trying to make this accessible. But I also have a visually impaired person watching this, so versus them trying to read this, they can just listen, and then that way they don't have to try to read the whole screen and miss a bunch of crap that they can't read fast enough. So then that way they can just hear my voice and hopefully catch everything easier. But this boy did. You wondered what could have upset him. After a few seconds, you took a step forward, and then another. Then he glanced your way. His aquarium eyes reflected the light of the moon. You stopped raising a hand to acknowledge him and show you weren't scary. Hi. Hey, Space Cadet. You lost? We'll go awkward. Hi. With a start, he jumped to his feet, his hands balling into fists to his sides. Aww. He didn't say anything. He stared at you in a strange way. He had been crying. There were traces of tears on his cheeks and his knees soaking the hem of his shorts, and his eyes were still shining with a few more. You obviously caught him off guard. We're gonna make Blake Ugly cry over here. Let's get a bunch of ugly crying in the chat for this little guy over here. I'm not just talking about Blake. His pink cast seemed to glow in the twilight through his, though when you caught staring at. Let's try that one more time. His pink cast seemed to glow in the twilight, though when he caught you staring at it, he hid his arm behind his back. Something the man earlier said stuck out to you. Cove. Or, your name is Eli, and you said Cove. Ah. Eyes wide, he studied you. Cove says to you. How'd you know that? You touched the money in your pocket, feeling it crinkle beneath your fingertips. I met your dad. I'm all knowing. Lucky guess. The dad said you don't want him to know, but I want to be honest. I don't want to lie and say lucky guess. I'm going to say I met your dad. Oh, maybe. So is this your hill? He gestured with the uninjured arm, the patch of grass surrounding you, his face falling at the prospect. Cove, I can leave if this is yours. You can't own a hill. Yep, you can't own a hill. You shook your head. Why not? Cove says, why not? Eli, how could you? Cove, you just do. I had a hill back at home. Eli, well, this isn't mine. Cove, aw. He sat back down with a thump, resting his chin on his knees again. Cove's face is adorable. Look at that face. Curious about the strange new boy with the odd dad. You sat on the patch of grass next to him. Pure white flowers that covered the rock-backed and forehead gently as the stars twinkled above. The way they dotted the skies made them seem like flowers. The night wind was cool as it traveled over the ocean and up the hill, chasing away the heat, the afternoon sun. Why are you here? Why'd your family move? Let's go, why are you here? A quiet hiccup escaped Cove as soon as you asked the question, almost like you never stopped, his tears starting up again with a vengeance. Cove, my parents. Cove, they didn't want to live together with me anymore. Tears fell fast and heavy over his flushed cheeks, sticking in the dark lashes. Cove, my mom made my dad leave, and he took me with him, and now we have a house here, and I want to go home. The outburst took you off guard. By the time he had done wailing, Cove's chest was heavy with exhaustion. He sniffled and removed his glasses, wiping his eyes with the back of his hand before he put them back on. Cove, I hate this place. I want my real life back. Wow. I just want to go home. Holy shit, that hits hard. That hits hard, man. I want my mom, says Cove. I'm sorry. Your dad seems kind of nice. You'll like it here. You just have to get used to it. Stop crying. Let's go, you'll like it here. You just have to get used to it. He slipped his hand underneath his glasses and pressed his fingers against his eyelids. Cove wound himself up again for another long cry fit. Sunset Bird was a nice place to live. It had a beach, playground, a good school, at least you thought so. But home way off in the distance, you heard your parents. Mommy. Eli. Cove's dad. Cove. Mom. Kids, where'd you go? Really quick, Charlie, if you're in the chat, when you get a minute, could you feed the dogs, please, while I'm streaming? Because it is 10 o'clock. When you get a minute, could you feed the dogs? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Cove looked at you, tears still clinging to his cheeks. Cove. Don't tell them we're here. Cove. I don't want to go back to that house. I want to go home. I want to go home. You can't handle it. You don't have to go. Don't worry so much. Sorry, I have to. It will be okay. Let's go, it will be okay. You were struck by a sudden need of reassurance to Cove. Eli. It's not gonna be fun, but isn't he your family too? Cove. Yeah, I guess. Eli, and you can count on him when you really need him. You shot him a grin and pushed yourself to your feet. Slowly, Cove stood up with you, still looking reluctant. His dad, voice ranging out again. Cove's dad. Cove, can you hear me? He looked towards the sound of his dad's voice, silent, then turned away while rubbing his non-bandaged arm. Cove, sorry, I still don't want to go. You called out yourself. You waited silently with him. You tried to convince him. Eli, are you sure? You have to stay outside the whole night and sleep on a wet grass. Before Cove could say anything else, you heard his dad's voice again, even closer than before. Cove's dad. There you are, bud. The trio of parents appeared over the curve of the hill. Instantly, all their eyes landed on you. They rushed over. Both of your moms were there at your side, split second, faces filled with worry. Mom, Eli, you're here after all. Mommy, we had been at the park to check for Cove and heard what happened earlier when you met the new neighbor. I thought you might have gone off further away. No, we're just sitting here in the grass. Why does everybody act like that's such a big deal? We're okay, don't worry. Cove didn't want to go home just yet. We're okay, don't worry. Mommy, thank God you're both fine. Mommy, you two were just having fun out here. You looked over at Cove, who was wiggling against his dad's tight hug and pushing at his arms. You shrugged. Yes, I like him. He's good. I think I'm gonna marry him. Let's go, yes, I like him. You nodded, slightly smiled. Finally letting go his squirmy, scowled son, Cove's dad turned to him and the three of you. Cove's dad, thank you very much for finding him. I really didn't know this neighborhood. Mommy, good thing Eli knows this whole entire area so well. Cove's dad, absolutely. We should be getting home now. It's been a very long day for all of us. Say goodbye, Cove. Cove, bye. The two of them walked off the darkness, heading toward the neighborhood. You watched Cove's bright cast until it disappeared. Mommy, tell you what. You have a proper play date tomorrow, okay? Mom, your new friend's dad wanted to bring him by to see you and Lizzie. Mommy, how does that sound? Sure. Can I show him my new stuff? It sounds like words. You nodded, ducking your head down. Of course, Mommy says. Eli, then okay. Both of your moms laughed and sounded overlapping into a warm, familiar chorus. Mommy put her arm around your shoulder and led you toward the path. Satisfied and more than a little ready to go home to bed after your long, exciting day, you followed them home. Choose your feeling for Cove. This is how you're Choose your feeling for Cove. This is how you're towards. Choose your feelings for Cove. This is how you feel towards Cove for this step. It can change in later steps. Thank you. Okay, we're going to do crush. Crush. You must pick a... Oh. Relaxed but crushed. Actually, no. Let's go direct and crushed. I want to make sure Cove knows that I like it. I want to make sure Cove knows that I liked him. Okay. Childish fiction. Start playing step 1 using the crush interest level. Cool! The next morning, you finished your breakfast so fast that you nearly puked it back up. I have done that before, no joke. Your sister Lizzie had run out earlier to go play, but you stayed put. Today, Just like your mom had promised, Cove came over to hang out. Mom, excited to see your new friend again, Eli. I can't wait to see him. Direct. Start playing 1, 2, 3 using the direct comfort level. Mommy, isn't that just the sweetest thing? Mom, I bet the two of them are going to be great playmates. Mommy, Mom, with that said, aren't you done with breakfast? Yeah. Haha. I don't know. Am I? Your bowl was entirely empty, so you nodded. I don't know. Am I? Yeah. We'll do yeah. Well, with that expiration an 8-year-old can muster, you looked at your empty bowl and then at your mom. Mommy, only okay attitude kid we see. Mom, good job. He should be here soon. Clean up and then on cue there was a knock. It was hesitant, like the person wasn't sure whether this was the right place. We need to get a more obvious doorbell. Mom, I know. Mom, Eli, could you get that? You practically leapt out of your chair and on your way to the door. Cove's dad. Hey, Andrew's family. Thank you for having us. Mr. Holden, as your moms have called him, and his son were here. Cove looked different in bright lighting of your living room and when he wasn't crying. And his dad standing in front of him and mom behind you, and Cove looked at each other. Pleased to see you and your interesting boy again. You smiled at Cove. Cove returned it shyly. Eli, Mom, we're going to my room to play. Your guest blinked, didn't protest. Cove, okay. Mommy, let us know if you need anything, you two. Mom, have fun, kids. Cove's dad, see you later, son. Play nice. I gotta stretch. Because I don't have anybody telling me to stretch or hydrate, I gotta do it on my own. Okay. You led him to your room, puffing out your chest a little bit at the sight of your treasures. There were lots of stuffed animals, a cool bed, a window that looked out. It was a great room. You hadn't had anyone to show in a while, but you really are proud of it. He leaned a little closer to one of your drawings on the wall. Cove, I like this. Me too, I drew that. Thank you. I don't. I drew that. Thank you. You're welcome, said Cove. You smiled at him. You were proud of the particular piece of art, and you were glad he noticed. He turned and looked around at the room a little more, studying the books on your desk and pictures on the walls. You started to feel a little bit nervous. You felt the atmosphere and was kind of awkward. You were glad for the company. You hoped he liked your room. You put a lot of effort into making your room as nice as it was. You hoped he didn't say anything bad about it. Then his eyes landed on a tiny box of the beach things you collected tucked away on your door. He took steps towards it before hesitating and pointed at it instead. Cove, what's that? A hoard of stuff I found at the beach, you said. Cove, do you have any driftwood in there? Dragging the box in the middle of the room, you and Cove flopped down next to it. Eli, I do. Look. You gestured at a piece at the bottom, still covered with specks of sand. Cove, neat. That's a good collection. You got the sense from the tone of his voice he wasn't just saying it to be nice or to be like a slow. It was actually meant it. Shallow. He meant it. Eli, I forgot about Shiloh. Cove, Shiloh? His friends with my older sister. He also supposed to hang out this afternoon. Cove, do I have to see him? You don't have to do anything, but he's going to be here. Eli, anyway, I found a gigantic shell here stuck to an even bigger rock. You pulled out the seashell after seashell, explaining where you had gotten each one and holding them against the light. There were big ones, small ones, pink, purple, orange. Most of them washed off in the bathroom sink. You brought them home, cleaning off the sand. Over the past few years, you'd even learned more about the scientific names. The collection was so big, varied, that you had lots of funny stories to tell for all of them. Your voice flattered a little bit, but you kept going as best you could. Let's go. Your voice flattered a little bit. You were really proud of your seashell collection. It made you happy that Cove was interested in it too. Apparently fascinated either by your stories or your shells themselves, Cove listened and looked like full force with his attention. It was a new experience to be center of such dedicated focus. For some reason, it made your cheeks feel warm. You had felt like this, like around someone before. It was kind of weird. Mommy, kids, come down to the living room. You could tell this idea was making him unhappy, but Mommy wasn't giving you much of a chance to hang around. Cove hadn't been like this meeting you. You guessed it was because he thinks you found each other by accident, not that a parent made it happen. Mr. Holden must have been right that telling you Cove and his dad was part of the... Wait, Mr. Holden must be right that telling Cove his dad was part of the would be a bad idea. Before you knew it, you both had been escorted downstairs and deposited in the living room, ready for Shiloh's visit. The two of you sat side by side on the floor on your home's entryway. I brought the box of seashells. I want to keep looking at them. Great. Okay, just be careful. Great. Eli, bust it open. We can keep looking at it while we wait for Shiloh. Cove reached in and pulled out a big orange shell. Cove. Oh. Like you hadn't spoken out loud, he turned and held it open, his eyes shining. Cove, I think this one is the best one out of them all. That's my favorite one too. I like different one best, but you can show it to you. You can take it. Ooh. You can take it. Cave looked at you in surprise, his eyes going wide. Really? Cove said. Yeah, you like it, right? Cove, yeah, but I really don't want to take it from you. It's okay. You got the impression he wasn't hesitant in accepting something because he didn't really know you that well. You insisted. You let it go. You insisted. Eli, no, it's okay for you. You pushed the shell against Cove's chest, willing him to receive the gift, but Cove firmly shook his head and kept his arms tight by his sides. It was a battle you couldn't win, but at least not today. Cove was your neighbor, but now you could give it him another time. The two of you were still sitting on the floor looking at your collection of the beach findings that the doorbell finally rang. Cove jumped by the startling sound. Since the person had knocked, you figured it was probably Shiloh. He knew where to look for that. Cove, Lizzie's friend. You nodded, but that didn't seem to make Cove feel better. It was already obvious that Cove didn't hide his feelings. You could tell what he was thinking right away. Cove, this isn't a good idea. It's just Shiloh, and where would you even go? Eli, he's our only door. He's at our only door, and if you go upstairs, he'll find you. Cove glanced around the room, his eyes wide, and finally paused. His eyes gazed locked onto the back of the house. Cove, I can go out the window. He already was walking towards it. Scrambling to think of something to say, he stepped forward and then paused. You don't want to break your other arm. Shiloh is the least scary person alive. Cheer up, Shiloh's gonna like you. Please don't get hurt. I'll come with you. Good idea, let's go. Eli, hurry, I'll see where we're going. He glanced back at you, then nodded. The two of them made your way to the window together. It wasn't much of a distance to chamber out, but by the time you landed gently into the bushes, you looked up. Cove was already taking off from the house. He was fast, but he knew he could outrun you if you had. He was not fast. You knew you could outrun him if you had to. He was not fast, neither were you. At that speed, you weren't sure if you could run fast enough to reach him. He was not fast, neither were you. Let's do that. Eli, Cove, I'm coming. You ran as fast as your legs would have taken you, grass whipping around your ankles as you did so. Cautiously, Cove slowed down to a halt and looked back at you. Eli, where are you going? Cove, I don't know, somewhere else. I just didn't want to see Shiloh. Eli. You look back and Shiloh huffing down the hill as the backpack clutch bouncing all the way around. Shiloh, what are you doing? Can I come? He must have seen you leaving out the window and followed behind. Shiloh, oh hi. Are you Cove? Cove, yeah. I'm Shiloh, said Shiloh. Cove, okay. Shiloh, yep. Are we going back or are we gonna play outside? Shiloh's eyes moved between Cove, you and Cove. Smile remained strong on his face. I got a tiny frown from Cove in response. You were grateful he hadn't asked why you were running away. Cove, inside. We left the box on the floor. Eli, my stuff. We need to get it before someone steps on it. Shiloh, okay. And Shiloh trailing behind them, you and Cove headed back toward the house. I don't even like Shiloh. I'm sorry. Shiloh's annoying. We're not even, done with this, and Shiloh's already annoying. The plan for the afternoon, at least as far as you were concerned, was to sit and look at beach stuff and things some more. You weren't really in the mood to do much else, especially if Cove wasn't having fun. Or, especially if Cove was having fun. Eli, this is a scallop shell I found last week. I kept it because it looked neat. Cove, it's a pretty cool color. Kind of like my cast. A beautiful glittering pink did look a little bit like the wrap around his arm. Shiloh, pink is a nice color. Cove, okay. Shiloh, is it your favorite color? Cove, not really. Shiloh, what is? Cove, maybe green or blue, it might be yellow. Shiloh, oh, those are cool colors. Cove, I guess. I like those colors too. Those are better colors. Not sure how to deal with the sudden, more awkward silence. You look back at your shells. I like those colors too. Shiloh too. Both of them smiled. Like usual, it didn't take long for Shiloh to get fidgety. Lizzie was his favorite. Without her around, Shiloh didn't seem to know what to do with himself. And Cove wasn't like your sister. He wasn't much like you either. Shiloh, is Lizzie coming back? Cove, don't know. Shiloh, aw. Shiloh, where did she go? Eli, I think she's at the beach probably. Shiloh, isn't she playing at her park? Cove's eyes lit up in the mention of a park. He looked towards you. Cove, there's a park? Eli, yeah, but it's old. Cove, can you show me? I want to go. He started getting up. You hadn't even answered, and Shiloh jumped up beside him in excitement. Shiloh, really? You do? Right, Eli. The park is fun. Love it. The park is pretty great. Shiloh, yeah, it's right at the beach. It's a lot of fun stuff to do and lots of sand. Eli, it has a jungle gym and a bunch of swings. Cove, that sounds like it could be cool. Shiloh, hold on. Excuse me. Shiloh, so are we going to find Lizzie? Cove, I don't know. I never really wanted to see her. I just want to check out the park out. Adrift without any direction, Shiloh finally turned to you. Eli, okay. He perked up. Both boys wanted to go. It was only fair. After getting permission from your moms, the three of you were ready to head out. It was a short walk to the park. Lizzie had convinced your moms that it was so short she could always be allowed to walk by herself. When you found her, she was hanging out at the jungle gym, swinging back and forth. Eli, hey Lizzie. Her face lit up when she saw you, her big brown eyes going wide. Lizzie! Eli! Shiloh! Shiloh, hi! She dropped to the ground, landed in a soft thud in the sand. In a split second, Shiloh had abandoned you two and scrambled over to the sand by her. You were used to being left out when it was the three of you, but now Cove was here. It was nice to have someone who stuck with you. Lizzie, who's that? Shiloh, it's Cove, he's new. Lizzie, I remember. Hi, Cove. Lizzie, welcome to my park. Nobody nobody ever comes to play here, so this is where we get together. She gestured widely with her arms, as if to present the area to the newcomer. Without interrupting Lizzie's speech, Cove whispered in your ear quiet enough so the others wouldn't overhear. Cove, I thought the kids couldn't own places like parks or hills. You couldn't help but laugh a tiny bit. While Lizzie continued talking, you took a chance to kick your shoes off and wiggle your toes through the warm sand. Lizzie, nice, huh? In this neighborhood, I'm the one who comes up with these ideas. Cove, you are? Lizzie, yeah, I am. Who else could handle the job? Shiloh, Lizzie's the oldest. Lizzie, by a lot. My mom said you're Eli's age. Cove, yeah. Lizzie, thought so. I'm the only one in the group with double digits. Cove, what about the other kids? Shiloh, other kids? Lizzie, there aren't any. We're the only kids here, and Shiloh is just visiting from another place. Lizzie, they're not even tourists. Really bring their kids here. This is the land of the ancients. Be careful that the oldies don't try to steal your youth. Cove, oh. For a second, it looked like he might cry again. But something in his eyes shifted, and he looked back at Lizzie. Cove, what kind of old people? Like your mom and dads and grandparents? Lizzie, grandparents who don't have kids. They hate kids. Cove, why? We haven't done anything. Only some of them don't like kids. Stop saying stuff like that. You're going to upset him. Yeah, they're really bad. You're just interjecting quickly, hope Cove wouldn't start crying again. He sniffled, and his forehead creased with worry. Lizzie was starting Cove down, and Cove wasn't even looking at her anymore. He didn't seem to care that she was there. He went into his own head. Shiloh was next one to speak, completely unaware of the situation. Shiloh, I met Lizzie and Eli in school. You'll see a ton of kids there once summer is over. Cove, I don't want to go to new school. I don't want summer to end. Shiloh looked down at the dirt. He hasn't had much luck striking up conversation with Cove. Shiloh, I like summer vacation a lot too. All the building tension in the air suddenly vanished when Lizzie laughed. At Shiloh's discomfort at how weird she thought Cove was, at something else entirely. You didn't even really know. She laughed, face scrunching up. Lizzie, welcome to Sunset Bird, Cove. Take a seat, put up your feet, and get used to it. Cove, You offered him a small smile and at least looked up and reassured him some. For the rest of the summer, Cove was always there. Hold on. You saw him more than Shiloh. On some days, she was in a bad mood or busy. You even saw him more than Lizzie. He became a staple of your everyday life, the way the sun and lunch and beach were. Looking back on years, you would realize you had a tiny crush on him right away. One that made you want to spend as much time as you did. Of course, that was only the start of things. Moment, select step 1. Firefly is shopping. What? And then summer ended. Wait, so I'm confused. What do you do here? So you moment selected. So wait, I'm so lost what you're supposed to do. Oh, okay. Let's go shopping. That looks kind of cute. Cove's dad, come back before it gets dark. All right, sport. The familiar voice drifted across the street and drew your attention away from the snail you had been watching inch slow across the pavement. Cove waited in front of his dad, pushing his green hair back in his face, breeze blowing across his glasses. He looked to be paying only mild amount of attention as he was being handed a few slips of green paper. It reminded you, for the first time you met Mr. Holden, although he's probably not paying Cove to be your friend with himself. Cove's dad seemed to feel your gaze somehow, or maybe made a noise because a second later his eyes were on you. He waved you over with a smile. He looked happy to see you, but still felt a little weird for getting caught. You've learned how to be more sneaky. You brushed your hands together to free some of the sand, then jogged over to join the two of you, smiling at Cove first and then his dad. In turn, Cove shuffled his feet in place and you got closer. Cove, Eli, hi. Cove's dad, good to see you again. What excitement are you up to today, Eli? Oh, this is a good one, cool. Eli, stuff. Eli, I found a really cool snail across the road. He's slimy, with funny eyes and a nice shell. Mr. Holden grinned at your enthusiasm. After you finished answering the question, Mr. Holden's attention returned to Cove, who was preoccupied with folding his bills into a tiny rectangle. Cove's dad, sounds fun. You know, Cove about to hit the stores by the beach. Why don't you go with him? Cove, yeah, you can come. Excuse me. You immediately grinned at the idea. You hadn't been sure if you see Cove today, and now he's inviting you to go somewhere. The day couldn't have gotten much better. Cove's dad, great. I'm sure you guys will have loads of fun. Mr. Holden reached into his pocket and pulled out a leather wallet filled with money. You found it odd since your moms only ever seemed to have cards in theirs. Cove's dad, here. He leaned in to pass your crisp 10 to Cove, giving him a wink and whispered, Cove's dad, get something for your friend too. Cove, sure. Cove's dad, that's my boy. Cove's dad ruffled his son's hair as he straightened it back, the bill in his hand still held towards the green, The bill in his hand still held out towards the green-haired boy. Cove's dad, take care. Cove accepted the bill after a second, slipped into his pocket, and then with one last nod to his dad, turned and started walking. You followed after him, intrigued as the possibilities this outing might bring. Lots of reading. Cove straight towards the gentle tide creeping up, and the sand fell into place beside him. It was a nice day, and the sun was shining, and there weren't many clouds in the sky. Through the wind coming off the ocean kept it from being too hot. You took in a deep breath, enjoying the scent of salt and ocean air. When you looked at Cove, he was dragging his feet through the sand a little. You slowed down to wait for him. His eyes searched the ground intently. Are you looking for snails? Are you looking for shells? What is it? You didn't feel the need to ask. What is it? Nothing, said Cove. He kept staring down at the ground. You bit down on your lip a little, wanting to say something, but not knowing what. The comforting sound of the waves filling the silence, pleasant white noise. You played a little game with yourself as you walked along, getting a little closer to the water as possible without getting wet. It resulted in you having to run in the sand quickly when the wave rushed more than a few times, although Cove threw a few glances your way and he didn't say a word. You didn't either. What? You didn't want to go... What? You didn't want to go to the shops for... What did you want to go to the shops for? What do you usually do at the beaches? What do you usually do on the beach? I need a new sand pail, said Cove. There you go. Eli, what happened to your old one? Cove narrowed his eyes, seeming to think deeper for a second. Cove, it disappeared. Eli, really? What? Cove ducked his head down, lacing his fingers behind his back. It didn't seem like it was going to continue, so you nudged his arm. Eli, how did that happen? Cove, well... Cove opened his mouth and shut it again, considering. Cove, I took it to the beach one day. Eli, uh-huh. Cove, when I got home, it wasn't anymore. Eli, you left it there. Cove, nope. It wasn't at the beach anymore when I went back. Eli, then you lost it. Cove, it disappeared. Cove, what about you? What do you do out here? I don't come out to the beach a lot. I like swimming. I look at the fish. I like to make sandcastles. Nothing. I like to swim. Cove's lips curled up in a small smile. Cove, me too. It occurred to you that you hadn't been swimming in a while. There was so much to do before school started up again. So little time. Once you reached the shops, the noise level grew exponentially. No longer just waves and footsteps, but chatter of people enjoying the lovely summer. The call of birds trying to find bits of food left behind, and people and salespeople trying to get your attention. You sniffed the air as you walked beside Cove. You could smell the ocean and the other scents now. Pizza, pretzels, hot donuts. Oh my god, I can smell that. It was so nice. It was not very nice. It was alright. It was nice. The energy surrounding the area seemed to fill you, and there was a bounce in your step, and you began to look at the familiar sights. There were so many things to do, you didn't know where to begin. You know what I just realized? Sorry about that, guys. I didn't realize my thing was in the way. This whole time, I'm so sorry. So, well, for this game, we'll make sure that my video is up more. Because I hadn't been looking at my screen. I've been looking at my monitor, not my actual laptop. So I hadn't been seeing that I was cutting you guys off when this was here, because I had been reading it the whole time. So I'm sorry about that. I do apologize if you guys want to read, but I've been reading it the whole time, so you guys haven't been missing much. But so you guys can read it on top of it if you guys wanted to. And I'll even make myself a tiny bit smaller. There you go. Sorry about that, guys. I will make sure that's not like that next time. I super apologize. Super apologize. Okay? You looked at Cove, hoping he was just as excited as you were. Cove was glancing from one side of the street to the other with a look in his aquarium eyes you couldn't quite work out. Cove, what's that? Cove pointed to a large crowd of people gathered near a few tables with large, colorful umbrellas blooming from their middles. You couldn't see past the adults that were blocking the way, but you knew there must be something worth seeing. Without another word, the two of you hurried over to see what all the hubbub was about. Amazing Alexander. Feast your eyes on the Amazing Alexander. In the center of the crowd was a man with a tall hat and a funny green coat with 3 long tails. There was a little table next to him with a cloth hanging over it that read "The Amazing Alexander" in glittery golden script. Why, tell the people his name if it wasn't already on the sign. Cove hummed with understanding, then turned in to walk away just as the Amazing Alexander began to shuffle a deck of cards. Eli, I want to see the show. Cove glanced back at the man and then briefly lifted his arms up off his sides before returning them back to place. Cove, okay. He may not be impressed, but at least he didn't ditch you. He grinned, waving for him to follow you as you raced back to stand in the crowd. With what it began, the magic man pulled one of the cards out of the deck, showing you the curious outlookers. It was a 4 of diamonds. Amazing Alexander. Watch closely. You did, squeezing through a few of the adults' onlookers to get a better view. Suddenly, the man snapped his fingers, and the card just disappeared. Eli. Whoa! Cove. No response. The Amazing Alexander, who earned a title, turned his head and looked directly at you. He reached out with a kind smile. Amazing Alexander. What's this behind your ear? Nothing. Tell me. You backed away. Tell me! This had to be going somewhere, as you needed to find out. He smelled like popcorn and candy when he stepped closer to you. That was great. You felt a tug, and then he pulled the 4 diamonds out from behind your ear. Eli, what? You knew that it couldn't really come out from behind your ear, but you still didn't know how he had done it. There was a light applause from the crowd, and the man gave a deep bow. Amazing Alexander, this is for you. The magician plucked a pair of balloons from a clump of them tied down from his table. Both of you were they were both in the shape of a dolphin instead of being a normal circle. Amazing Alexander, and one for your friend too. Thank you for being my assistant. Eli, wow. Now you are really grateful he chose you. After that, he went somewhere. He went to someone else in the crowd. Amazing Alexander, pick a card, any card. Cove, my uncle does that every time he visits. Not the balloons, the stuff with the cards. Cove spoke plainly while reaching over to take the dolphin that had been designed for him. Maybe it wasn't so special. Cove is just ruining the fun. At least you had fun. A fun time. You wonder if Cove's whole family was magic. Let's do the magic. If so, he was so lucky. The crowd started to clear some as you noticed the side there was a whole rack of brightly colored kaleidoscopes on display. You picked up a kaleidoscope. You picked up a Rubik's Cube. You picked up a magic 8-ball. You went past the toys. The kaleidoscope. Let's go magic 8-ball. Eli. Ooh, Cove, check this out. You shifted your balloon strings to the other hand so you could hold it in front of you. You thought of a question, shaking the ball, hearing some kind of squish slosh inside of it. Once you had given it a good shake, you held it up, waiting for it to answer the appeal. Concentrate and ask again. You wrinkled your nose and set the magic 8-ball back on the rack. It wasn't quite the answer you were hoping for. You followed Cove around to the other side of the stall. He went under awning carefully of his own floating dolphin and joined him. Did you have places like this in your old town? Are you having fun? I really don't like it here. You said nothing. Are you having fun? Cove, yeah. You returned a smile, happy to hear. When Cove moved towards some stalls, you followed beside him. Ooh. When Cove looked at the sand pills, you were drawn to a table with colorful keychains. You were swooned in the shape of sea creatures, and there were a plaque that read, handmade. Stand by proudly in front of them. There were lots of different types. Saw a dolphin, shark, crab, and a turtle. We're going to do crab because of Bisky. Your hand stopped on the crab. Claws raised, a tiny smile on its face. It had big eyes and little legs, and the fabric was smooth when you picked it up. You had seen a few crabs at the beach before, thought they usually scuttled away before you got the chance to see them closely. You liked the idea of having a little crab of your own, even if it's a soft animal. You instantly were immersed. Checking the price though, your heart fell. $6. You didn't know much about money. But you thought that was a lot to spend on one thing. You rarely had more than $5 bills to your name. Though that changed the day you met Cove and his dad. You still had the $20 bill Mr. Holden gave you hidden away in your room. It was a grand sum of money, but you couldn't spend something that was at home instead of in your pocket. Maybe you have to ask your mom to bring it here one day, and now that you knew it was something you wanted. Cove, is that what you want? Eli, huh? Eli, oh. Eli, it's $6. I didn't bring any money. Cove, it's fine. Really? Really? Are you sure? Hooray! You don't have to. I don't want you to get it for me. Really? Really? Cove took out a keychain from your hand and was like holding a small yellow bucket for himself too. Cove, it's cool. You should get it. You beamed in excited excited at the idea of displaying a keychain somewhere in your room. It was nice of Cove's dad to let Cove buy something for you. You had to remember to thank him for it the next time you saw him. After Cove paid, the two of you stepped out of the store side by side, your balloon dolphin knocking together and spiraling in the air. You watched Cove hold up a new pail in his face, examining it thoroughly. Eli, hey Cove. Yeah? Said Cove. Why is your dad always giving people money? Thanks for the keychain. Cove, you're welcome. Cove looked further down the street, where different food carts were lined up. Wait, what did that mean? I didn't get to read it fast enough. Something happened and I don't know what just happened, but it was something good and I just don't know what it was. His non-cast arm over his stomach. I have no idea. It popped up and I have no idea what it was. With your middle wheel thing. I have like no on your mouse. Hold on. I have like no earthly idea what it is, but okay, whatever it was, it must have been good. So, I like literally, I don't know. It won't show me, and it was something. I don't know. Biscuit doesn't care. He was non-resisting. Wait. He rested his non-cast arm on his stomach, and just as he did, yours let out a light growl. You hadn't eaten since breakfast, and after all of this wandering around, you were definitely ready for some lunch. I did. Dude, I did. It was some weird, like, thing that, like, popped up, and I didn't get the chance to read it, and it won't show me. Dude, I did. It was something that popped up, and I did, and it will not show me. The last thing that showed me was the beginning that... Ow, I just, like, completely deafened myself in my headphones. Ow. I have no earthly idea what it was. I promise you I looked, and I have no idea what it was. It's not a big deal, though. I'm, like, very invested in this storyline, though. And it's your fault that I'm invested in this storyline now. Cove, let's get some food. Eli, yeah. You two wandered around a short while looking for delicacies that were available. Yeah, it's your fault, by the way. I just saw it, and it wasn't time to focus on what it was. Everything looked delicious as different smells, both sweet and salty, waffled around you. Your stomach growled even louder. Hold on. Speaking of delicacies... After passing him hot dogs, snow cones, ice cream, and pizza, you both agreed on a pretzel. Tom got something sweet and cinnamony, and you got a plain one. Got one with cheese. Got one with sprinkles. Got one with chocolate. Got one with cheese. You licked your lips hungrily as the vendor handed you your pretzel over and ready to take a big bite. It was covered in gooey melted cheese, just the way you liked it. Which is ironic, because I don't actually like pretzels with cheese on it. Well, like, I do, but Not really. It seemed odd to get a dessert pretzel before eating a normal food. You found an empty table close enough to the beach that the grit of the sand made terrible noises when you dragged the chairs out to sit down. Cove, these balloons are going to make it hard to eat. Cove placed his bucket on the table as he stared at his balled up hand that was wrapped around the string. You opened your mouth to agree before an idea hit you. Eli, I know. After carefully placing your pretzel somewhere it wouldn't get sandy, you tugged on the balloon dolphin out of Cove's hand and tied it to a delicate bow around his wrist. Cove, oh. Cove bounced his arm up and down, testing the stability of your knot. After watching his balloon jostle around and remain attached, he smiled, satisfied. Eli, there, do mine. He repeated the ritual. Cove struggled somewhat with the cast restricting his fingers on one hand and string already tangled around the other. But the action made him feel strangely happy. You couldn't look him in the eyes. Cove, got it. The two of you spent a moment admiring your handiwork. Both hands now free allowed you to easily munch on your pretzels. You bit into the doughy treat, savoring the taste of on your tongues while you smiled and looked out at the ocean. After a time you finished your pretzel, you reached down. Before Cove, it was boring not having anything to do. You pulled on the string of your balloon to bring it down to your level, then you held the dolphin in your hands, manipulating it to make it look like it was jumping through the air. If you turned your face towards the beach, it almost looked like it was swimming in the waves like a real dolphin. A laugh came from your side. When you glanced back at Cove, he had left the remaining part of his pretzel on the wrapper. It was gripping like his dolphin too. Mine's name is Merweather, his Prince of the Dolphins. Mine's name is Splash. They are the star in the movies. Mine's name is Cherry. She's an actual alien. Mine's name is Sam, like just a regular dolphin. Merweather. Eli, he wears a crown made of seaweed, and all his friends are merfolk. Eli, every now and then, he'll make friends with a kid and let them ride him on his back. You sighed, wishing you could meet a real dolphin like Merweather. Eli, what's yours? Cove considered this question, placing the balloon against the table and resting his free arm across the in contemplation. Cove, it's... With a loud pop, the dolphin exploded into ribbons. Oof. Eli, Cove. Oh no! For a second, all Cove did was gape in shock like you. Then his cheeks puffed up, squinting his eyes, and you saw tears start to glisten. Cove, Eli, You made a joke. You offered to find Alexander. You offered to give Cove your balloon. Eli, don't cry. You quickly pulled the knot off your wrist, passed it over to Cove. It wasn't the same color, but you hoped Cove would accept it anyway. Eli, here, you can have this one. Cove sniffed. A loner tear covered down his cheek. Cove, no, I didn't want to take yours from you. Then we're sharing it. It's your turn to hold it. Cove, really? Yeah, it's okay. Cove accepted the balloon, delicately probably to make sure that this one didn't pop like the other. Cove, thanks, Eli. Seeing him like that felt much better than keeping the dolphin for yourself. Passing Cove's balloon was the last major event of your adventures. In the end, the two of you headed back the late afternoon. You two separated on the beach. and while Cove went straight home with his brand new sand pail, you decide to sit for a while. You watch the waves in the sunset, fiddling with your new keychain. Another summer was drawing to a close. It had been a great going around with Cove. You hoped to do it again, but the next time you wished nothing would make him cry. Thank you, baby. I appreciate it. Okay. Before we do a whole another section of just reading, we're going to take like a tiny little break, because that's a lot of reading, right? Yeah, so this is a really cute game. I'm not going to lie. It is a really cute game. So, just like Hato does, I have a little surprise for you guys. I will be right back, okay? Luffy, come here. Look, we have Luffy. This is why we actually turned our camera on, so you guys could see the animals. We have Luffy coming to join. Woo! Say hi, Luffy. Say hi, Luffy. Say I'm Mr. Poop. There we go. There's who we actually want you guys to see. Hold on. So we have our real star here. Hato Kitty. So Hato's here. We're going to take our little break here. A Hato break. Say hi, Hato. Say hi, Hato. Hato says hello, everyone. You finally get to see my face. Say, I am the most handsome Hato in all the land. Rah, 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 rah. No, you're not getting on my computer, cat. Say, ha, do, ha, da, 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 do. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Piano, Life Kitty. La 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 la. Hello. You want to make choices? I'm just kidding. You want to make life choices? Well, there was your kitty break. I just wanted to take a kitty break. I wanted to take a talking break, a reading break, and everything break. But that was your break, more or less. So, alright, we're gonna do We'll do Grown Up next. I think we're gonna save the best for last, which sounds like Firefly. Wait, you're telling me this game takes 12 hours to finish? Yeah, we're not finishing this in 12 hours. We're not streaming this for 12 hours. I will unalive if I do this stream for 12 hours. Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, I'll die, I'll unalive. Oh, this game is way longer than, y'all, I'll unalive if that's the case. Okay, hold on, I gotta actually close my door real fast, let me mute one more time. Alright, we're not talking about robbing banks, people. Because I'm not responsible for stupid decisions y'all make on my stream. Not my responsibility. If y'all make stupid decisions on my behalf, on my stream, it is not my fault, okay? And, hi babe, how are you? Alright, we're gonna go grown-ups. We're gonna go grown-ups, okay. In about 2 seconds, y'all are just gonna read for yourselves. If it wasn't for the fact that I had Charlie in my chat, I wouldn't be reading this, to be honest. Y'all could just read on your own. Just saying. One sweltering summer day, you were in your living room with Cove, listening to the sounds of the birds chattering outside the window while you lay across the rug on the floor. Cove's dad had dropped him off earlier, and your mom's had left the two of you alone while Lizzie was playing amongst yourselves. It had been too hot to go outside in the afternoon, at least according to your mommy, so your sister started off implementing waiting for her golf class that evening. The three of you had trouble finding something fun to do. The beach and the playground were off limits, and you felt that it was too warm for anything like playing with your fuzzy toy stuffed animals. Then suddenly a light came to Lizzie's big brown-eyed smile spread across her face. Having an idea gave a new wave of energy. Oi. Lizzie, we're stuck inside. We should be adults. They don't play outdoors anymore anyways. They're always inside and telling everybody they're too busy to play. I mean, they're not wrong. I'm too busy to play. Oh, wait, I'm streaming. Cove, why? Lizzie, I said why. It'll be fun. Duh. Cove, why do you do inside that... Wait, why do they do inside that we don't? Besides, use the phone a lot. Including small help, Lizzie decided to ignore Cove. Lizzie, Eli, what do you think? Do you want to do? Cove, that doesn't sound... Cove said that doesn't sound fun. I bet we could come up with something else to do. I don't know. I want to. Cove said that doesn't sound fun. Suck up. Lizzie, come on. Neither of you have one single idea all day. You could tell that Lizzie wasn't about to give in anytime soon. Cove, fine. With her victory against Cove under her belt, Lizzie turned to you. Triumph. I'll try, but sounds boring. Okay, I'll stay. Sorry, I have other stuff to do. You kept hesitating. Okay, I'll try, but it sounds boring. Lizzie, I'm not gonna lie. I guarantee. It's gonna be, I guarantee. Lizzie seemed determined, Lizzie seemed more determined than ever. But that could only be. Satisfied neither you be able to bail her out, Lizzie thought over her options while you watched. After a few seconds, she clapped her hands together and beamed, apparently having settled on something without asking either of you. Lizzie, okay, I'm gonna be a professional golfer. Eli, you and Cove can be, Lizzie, a beach volleyball player, a gymnast, or a tennis player. Cove, why can't we pick anything we want? Lizzie, because I have a fun idea. That's why. Cove, and why do we have to play sports as adults? Lizzie, yep. But there's other kind of sports too. Lizzie, it isn't the same. Why do you think Eli doesn't? Don't those choices sound super cool? You want to be that, huh? I kind of like those. It doesn't really, huh? Sounds like a blast. Isn't there anything else we can be? You nodded. Maybe not. Isn't there anything else we can be? I want to be a martial artist, to be fair. Lizzie stomped a foot on the ground. Lizzie, nope. Come on. You just decide already. Martial artist. Knowing Lizzie wouldn't let this go anytime soon, you sighed. Ooh, work's busy. Oh, babe, I'm sorry. Cove was not impressed. Lizzie's attitude thought it was, though he didn't bother talking more about it for now. He thought over a list of possibilities: beach volleyball player, gymnast, or tennis. Out of all of them, you prefer to play? I don't prefer to play either. Ugh, gymnast. If you couldn't spend the time in the afternoon doing cartwheels and handstands in the backyard, you might as well practice them inside. There wouldn't be much space as there was outside, but you could still try. Yes, that was clearly the top option. Eli, I want to be a gymnast. Lizzie, all right. Lizzie, how about you, Cove? Cove, I'll be a gymnast with Eli. Lizzie threw her hands in the air, making an annoyed sound. Lizzie, you guys can't be the same thing. That's not how it works. Cove, you didn't say that. The rule is picking from a list. You can't keep adding more. Lizzie looked at the two of you, then shook her head, resigned to losing this battle, but not the war. Lizzie, fine, you're both gymnasts, but you're on the same team because there's only one. Lizzie's ponytail bobbed she proudly stretched her arms wide. Lizzie, the Olympic team. Cove, what? The Olympic team athletes who just competed in the Olympics. Competed. Cove didn't seem all that impressed with the announcements. He made a face and adjusted his glasses on his nose. Cove, that's really specific. Lizzie, that's what makes it fun anyway. Lizzie marched back and forth in front of both of them, getting lost in her own imagination. Lizzie, I won all the gold medals and people are calling me in the next Mickey Wright. I don't know who that is. Cove, who's that? Lizzie stopped on the spot and turned on him, her brown eyes shining in impatience. Lizzie, it doesn't matter if you don't know who she is. It's a golf thing. Oh, that explains it. I don't know who that is either. Lizzie, you guys won medals too. Your team plays silver. It's more real if you are not all in first place. Silver sucks. I don't want silver. I'm okay with that. Hey, we can do better than silver. Silver's not bad. Nice. You'll stay silent. Hey, we can do better than silver. You pouted at Lizzie, unhappy with the decision. Cove, Eli's right. Lizzie, lots of people lose at the Olympics. Them's the breaks. Oh, then you're the one who did, not me. Lizzie looked at them aback Cove's declaration and as though thought of her losing was complete absurd. Lizzie, no way, I wouldn't make sense. I'm already practicing my golf game. She took a golf stance to make her point, pretending to swing her club and hit an invisible ball. Lizzie, what kind of house do you want to live in? Cove hadn't changed his mind about winning, but thinking of where he'd live as an adult appealing to him, apparently because he looked back at Lizzie with some kind of anger fading. I'm going to live on the beach. Lizzie made a face at him, poking out her tongue. That's kind of boring. We already have that. No, like not a normal house with a street on it right on the sand by the water. Just like that. All the tension was back. You hadn't even had a chance to choose where you wanted to live. Lizzie, not. That's fun or smart, Cove. You can't live on the beach on a bunch of sand and shells. But I want to and I will. Cove narrowed his eyes at Lizzie, even though she stood half a head taller than him. Cove, you didn't give out a list of things to pick from at the time, and so I'm picking that. Why are you even playing pretend if we can't imagine anything? Lizzie, geez, well, I'm gonna live in a mansion far away from here and far away from you. Lizzie, one with an indoor pool and a place where I practice my award-winning golfing. Cove, how come you were yelling about mine when your idea is even more impossible? Lizzie's face flushed red, her hands balling into fists on her sides. Lizzie, it's not impossible, and it's better than yours. Disagreements always seemed to crop up when these two were together. You always felt you were stuck in the middle. But when it came to the topic at hand, this time you thought you prefer a mansion. Being on the beach was cooler. You wanted to agree with Lizzie. Cove was right. You were always tired of deciding between either of them. Cove was right. Eli, Cove's idea is good. You shouldn't say yours. You shouldn't say yours is only right. One right. Lizzie, no one asked your opinion. Somehow you were agreeing with him made Cove look nervous. He tried ignoring it by continuing the debate with Lizzie. Cove, you can swim whenever you want and live on the beach. You can stay warm anytime if you want to live by, but living in a little closer doesn't mean anything. Cove, says you. The two of them scowled at each other. Lizzie, you're being so unreasonable. You, Cove, I don't get what you want. This game doesn't make sense. Lizzie, leave him alone. Lizzie, it does. You have to be realistic. I said that. Cove, but you're not. You have no idea what to do to make them stop at this point. It seemed like the two of them would just keep working each other up as long as you could. Nothing you said goes as far as keeping them from being mad. I know, right? Lizzie's so annoying. Thankfully, like a greeting card angel, Mom walked into the room. Lizzie rushed to her, hanging on to the hem of her shirt, poking out at her tongue at Cove. Mom, Lizzie, Eli, it's time to get ready to go. Mom, sorry you have to leave already, Cove. Their mom, me said she'll walk you home so you don't have to be left in the cold. Cove, glaring at Lizzie, and her face flushed with anger. Cove, I can go by myself. But, Mom, Cove, bye, Eli. There was some harsh edge, brief farewell, but you knew it wasn't you he was mad at. Without giving Mom a chance to stop, Cove stood up and started walking out, shoulders drawn tight. Mom, okay. Mom worried, turned down to look at you and Lizzie. Mom, you two were playing nice to your new friend, weren't you? You told the truth. No, Lizzie and Cove kept yelling at each other. They wouldn't stop fighting about everything. Your sister's jaw dropped, looking betrayed as you put your hands on your hips. Mom, Elizabeth. I told you to be kind to him. He's having a hard time right now. Lizzie's mouth closed up, replaced it with a tiny frown. I know, I tried, but he was... Mom, but no buts. We both know you can show someone a great time, but when you put your mind to it. Mom, you're going to apologize to Cove and his dad over the phone when he gets home from work tonight. Lizzie hung her head, dragging her foot across the ground in front of her. Lizzie, okay, Mom. Mom, good girl. You caught a piece of Lizzie's sulking to herself about how it's his fault too, but it's over. Mom, alright, we better get a move on. Mom, let's go, kids. Noellen, where did you leave your car keys? Mom hustled to get you all out the door and noticed during the car ride to golf practice that Lizzie was quieter than usual. She was usually the first one to request which music to listen to, but she didn't say anything. Your parents noticed she wasn't in the mood to be bothered. They gave her space, and Mommy asked, what would you like to listen to? You picked your favorite song. It always made the car ride more fun. You chose the soundtrack to a cool movie you saw a couple months ago. You chose a song you knew Lizzie would like. Maybe that would cheer her up. We'll do that one. Eventually, Lizzie came around and started singing along with you. You both knew all the words. Your mom even sang along. When the car ride was over, he spent the twilight hours watching Lizzie hit things with other girls her age. You didn't say much about the golf, but you could tell that she really liked it and sat around with other moms trying to puzzle it out. It was nice sitting outside, cooped up in the house all day, and you stretched your legs the last few minutes the sun warmed your skin. When the sun finally was out of sight, dipping behind the horizon, you were ready to leave. Yeah, step one Lizzie's really annoying. I really hope she gets better. She's freaking annoying in this. Instead of going straight home, your mom took your family out for dinner. You went to a restaurant you had all been going to since you could remember. The whole afternoon had been a bunch of shouting. You hadn't been able to stop. You could kind of tell that it all helped that Lizzie was less angry. The car ride home was quiet, and the only radio providing escape was from silence. Lizzie had been better spirits now. The closer you got to your neighborhood, the more she wriggled in her seat, frowned out the window. She knew what was coming when she got back home. Clearly, she was dreading it. Soon enough, Mom was turning onto the street. She was reversing into the driveway. Once she cut in the ignition, it was dead silent. No one spoke, only unbuckled their seatbelts, opened the doors. Lizzie was the last one out. Once everyone was inside and done taking off their shoes, she propped on her hands on her hips. Mom, now then, Mr. Holden's car is in the driveway, so you should be back from work. That's good news, isn't it, Elizabeth? You and Cove can hash things out before the day is done. Lizzie didn't complain and put up a fight. Her head ducked so she didn't have to meet anyone's eyes. She nodded once. Mom, good. Let's move things into the kitchen. Mom went over to the house phone. The rest of the following behind her. Mommy put a gentle hand on Lizzie's shoulder as they walked side by side. You watched them from behind. This was the only thing happening because you told on Lizzie. You didn't regret it. You felt a little guilty, like you betrayed your sister. You hadn't liked doing it, but you had to. But it wasn't your fault for doing it in the first place. You didn't regret it. I didn't regret it. You frowned to yourself, recalling how Cove left in such a bad way. You wish that you could have done more for him, hopefully. You feel you wanted to hang out with him again. The four of you stood in the kitchen. All eyes were on Lizzie as she gazed. Mommy, you remember the number of Cove's house, don't you, honey? Lizzie jerked her head in another nod, sullen. Without further prompting, she stepped forward and began to dial. Mom reached. Did I press the wrong one? Crap. Oh, I'm not starting that all over. Damn it. I think I said I regretted it, and I didn't regret it. How much is that one going to mess me up that I said I regretted that choice? Because I didn't regret making that decision and telling on my sister. Okay, cool. I was like, I don't want to redo all of that just because of that. Okay, cool. Mom reached over and pressed the button in the base. Suddenly, you could hear the phone ringing, and she turned on the speaker. Cool. The phone rang a couple of times and stopped. Mr. Holden's warm voice came through in the other end. Cove's dad. Evening, Holden residence. Lizzie looked over at Mommy's Lizzie looked over at Mommy's unsure. She nodded encouragingly. Lizzie, hi, Mr. Holden. It's, Lizzie, can I talk to Cove? Dad, Cove's dad, Lizzie Andrews. What a surprise, but of course, you can say hi to the boy. He sounded cheery as usual, though definitely meant it when he said it was a surprise. You thought hard, and you were sure that your sister had never called the Cove's house before. Mom spoke up before Mr. Holden, or Lizzie could say anything. Her arms were crossed on her chest, her lips pursed. Mom, hi, Cliff, Nolan, Eli, and I are here too. Mommy, good evening. We're sorry to bother you so late. You spoke hello to, you said nothing to Cove's dad. Eli, hello, Mr. Holden. Cove's dad, the gang's all here, huh? Is something the matter? His voice grew a bit concerned. Mommy was quick to reassure him. Mommy, no, well, yes, but it's going to be okay. Mommy, Lizzie and Cove got into a bit of a fight today. We were hoping that the two of them could talk and make up. Is that a good time for you and Cove? Cove's dad, a fight? Cove's dad, Cove didn't tell me anything when I came home. It does explain the funk he's been in tonight. He chuckled lightly. Despite that, it didn't seem like he thought it was funny. Cove's dad, anyway, it's good. You didn't catch us at a bad time. I'll grab him for you. No, there was some shuffling on the other end. He must have not gone too far because you could still hear him call out. Cove's dad, Cove, there's someone on the phone for you. After a beat of silence, there was a muffled talking from Cove's dad. Cove's dad, come on, bud. Lizzie called just to talk to you. Cove's dad, Eli's on the other end listening too. Don't you want to say hi? It took a bit of back and forth, though conversation seemed one-sided since you could hear Cove properly. Eventually, Cove took the phone from his dad. Cove, hello. You opened your mouth only for Mommy to catch your eye and shake her head softly. You frowned but didn't say anything. Lizzie, hi, it's Lizzie. Cove, I know, Dad told me. Cove's tone was defensive. Lizzie turned to her mom, scowling. One stern look from her, though, and Lizzie turned away. Lizzie, I just called to say I'm sorry, not for playing nice with you today. I won't do it again. Lizzie's eyes were downcasted. Her low voice, you could tell she felt uncomfortable apologizing to Cove in front of everybody, but she still was being genuine about feeling bad. Cove must have realized that too, because he sighed quietly. Cove, me and Eli should get gold too. That's right. Lizzie kept denying you two what you deserved. Lizzie was momentarily stunned, silent, but demanded. She probably forgot even what happened already. Lizzie, all right, we all win the gold. Cove, okay, I guess I'm sorry too. A sense of relief washed over everyone at his acceptance of apology. Mom uncrossed her arms while Lizzie's shoulder relaxed. Lizzie's eyebrows rised up. You wondered if she thought it was he refused her apology? Cove, Dad, can I get off the phone now? You couldn't see him, but it was obvious that Cove felt awkward about the situation. He had come off uncomfortable the entire time. Really? Cove's dad, you can go back to your room if you want. Be sure to say goodbye first, though. Cove, bye, Lizzie. Lizzie, bye. Cove, bye, Eli. You perked up at the mention of your name. You smiled, even if you couldn't see it. Eli, bye, Cove. With that, Cove must have handed the phone to his dad and left, since Mr. Holden spoke up. Cove's dad, all is well, ends well, as they say. Thanks for arranging this. I'm sure he appreciates it as well. His mom replied. Lizzie tugged on Mommy's hand to catch her attention. Lizzie, can I go now too? Sure, sweetie. Thank you very much for apologizing for Cove. Mom flashed a brief smile at Lizzie and nodded in her agreement. Giving permission to leave, Lizzie scurried off towards the stairs. She seemed to feel much better with the incident behind her. Mom and Mommy returned the phone, taking it off speaker. They continued to talk to Mr. Holden. You couldn't tell what about, but they were glad that there was an end of all this. Lizzie and Cove might not get along, but probably still won't, but they weren't mad anymore. Mom and Mommy weren't upset either. Everything was finally back to normal, with what they thought was you retreated to your own room with the spring in your step. Oh my gosh. That one wasn't like as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be shorter. I mean longer, not shorter. Alright, we're good. We still got a long day. See, I'm afraid long day means long day. Alright, we're gonna stretch really quick. Hopefully we can get through the summer ended. I hope. It was another scorching summer day, the kind that no sooner had you finished a cup of water and you're already filling up the next one. Everyone had something on, so the afternoon it was you and Shiloh, and this didn't happen much, especially when Cove had arrived. Without Lizzie around, Shiloh looked to you, all the answers. It made you feel pleased, frustrated, nothing really. Frustrated. He was always wanting to hear what you thought instead of giving you your own opinion. And as expected to come up with plans, it was hard work, especially on a hot day. You drained yet another drink, an empty vessel. Your thirst was gone, and you still craved something icy cold, refreshing, something sweet, something like popsicle, ice cream cone, ice cream sandwich. You craved a soft ice cream sandwich between two cookies. I could take another break, but I also want to know what happens. This is your fault, Blake. Shout out to Blake who made me play this. There was nothing like that to be found at your home. You knew that without needing to look. Your moms didn't keep sweets like that in the house. Outside there was plenty of places like that, such goodies to be obtained, but there were no shops like that demanded payment in exchange for those products. You sighed. You voiced your predicament out loud. Eli, I want an ice cream sandwich. Shiloh, who had dampered over the sofa, perked up. That sounds nice. Eli, we don't have anything like that in the house. I don't have any money. Shiloh, let me check if I have any. Shiloh rummaged through his backpack, proudly produced an assortment of coins plus a stray button. You set the button aside and counted the coins in a neat pile. I just have over $1, you announced to Shiloh. You had almost certainly come to the same conclusion, but you had been watching you expectantly. It's not enough. It's a start. It's not enough. Shiloh, I'm sorry. Eli, we'll need to find some more. Shiloh, okay. The two of you lifted the couch cushions, stuck tiny hands down crevices in the sofa underneath furniture, scurried the back of drawers. I love that. Most of what you find is useless or gross. Bent paper clips, fluffy wisp of dust, sandy crumbs. But every so often you find a strike of silver or bronze added glowing piles of coins. Your mind wandered to the $20 bill tucked in your room. You had $20. Why don't you just use that? It was enough for you and Shiloh to get whatever you wanted and more, but you didn't want to take it out. It was too special to hand over so freely. Oh, that's why. Okay. Besides, Shiloh would be so curious as to where it come from, and might even mention your wealth to Lizzie. The exchange was have been a secret. Oh, okay. Dusty and disheveled from checking every room and squinting into every nook and cranny, the two of you finished pooling your finds. Shiloh held his breath as you counted the coins once again. $2.50 and 2 buttons. You know, theoretically, you could pay with the buttons. In some countries, that might be worth something. Just saying. You didn't know when the second button and had decided to join parties, but you were too pleased with the successful haul that you had to throw it out. Shiloh, was that enough? You figured you knew the answer without even looking. You were too, for confirmation, but the thrill of your successful and the reward that you follow canceled out the other feelings you might have had about it. Eli, yeah. You can now afford something at the shops. Just one thing, but it was indefinitely better than none. Shiloh clapped his hands. Shiloh. Yay. Why did I just realize now that Shiloh was a boy? Even though they keep saying boy, for some odd reason I thought Shiloh was a girl. I'm not even kidding you. I thought this whole time Shiloh was a girl. Even though I keep saying Shiloh, he, him, and I keep thinking Shiloh's a fucking girl. Whoopsies. The two of you dashed outside. The promise of sugar beyond buoyed you to your destination. Were breathless but happy. You started at the overwhelming number of options you knew you wanted, but it was just the two of you who had contributed the funds to your treat. It seemed noticed to your pause. Shiloh, aren't you going to get an ice cream sandwich? Shiloh asked as though he wanted an entire separate from your decision whether someone with a stake in the outcome. Eli, do you mind? Shiloh cocked his head to the side. Shiloh, it was your idea. You should choose. He went ahead and got what you wanted originally. Are you really sure it's okay? You tried to get something you both wanted. You were thrilled that Shiloh wasn't going to be an obstacle between you two and got your original choice. Without wasting another second, you exchanged cold, hard cash for your equally cold but less hard dessert. Finally, the reward, all your hard work, was in your hands. Cheers. You bit into the ice cream sandwich. The chewy chocolate biscuit complemented the chewy vanilla ice cream inside. You held it out to Shiloh, and he could take a turn. He shook his head. Shiloh, you can finish it. That's actually really cute. Sorry, that is very cute. Shiloh might be annoying, but that's really cute. He didn't want any. After everything he did to help get it, that was weird. But you accepted the offer. You accepted the offer. You tried to include Shiloh. You hesitated. But you accepted. Even if Shiloh said it was okay, every story you ever saw on TV or read, sharing is caring. You stood your ground even as the treat started to trickle dangerously towards your fingers. Eli, it's only fair you have some. We both bought it. Shiloh, but you wanted it more, and I do, and getting to play was a lot more fun already. You can have it. That's more fair. You held it out to him. Eli, I want you to have some even more than I want to finish it. You can eat your part. Relentlessly, Shiloh took a treat and gave it a taste. His eyes lit up. Shiloh, it's really good, thank you. You smiled, pleased with your good deed. Shiloh, you picked the best one. Did he mean that? Shiloh was always nice no matter what happened, even if he hated it. You knew he wouldn't say so. Maybe he thought it was gross, and that was the real reason why he didn't want to take some. You had no idea. He studied him. You studied him as he ate a little more. He had every appearance of enjoying himself. Still weird. The two of you began to head back home as he ate. You walked side by side on the shore in silence, but the thoughts kept drifting to the boy beside you. Hold on one second. Why didn't he speak up for himself? It was almost as if Shiloh didn't know how to say what he felt, or he was too afraid. You figured that his problem, he didn't care. Are you scared of me? You thought it was kind of sad. Are we friends? No, we are definitely not friends, but you figured it was his problem and he didn't care. Are you scared of me? I thought it was kind of sad. Are you scared of me? Let's go, are you scared of me? Shiloh opened his eyes, seemingly caught off guard by the blunt question. Shiloh, no way. Eli, you don't tell me things like what you want or you treat or what treat you should get. Shut. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Shiloh, that's because I'm scared. Because I have better ideas than I do. Because you have better ideas than I do. Unfortunately, this is yet another thing You couldn't entirely believe Shiloh on. You hoped that it was true, and that you really did feel okay around you, though. Shiloh made you feel unsure about setting a label on experience of spending the other afternoon just him. There had been good times, and there had been confusing ones. Just in case. You were positive on one thing at least. The treat was delicious, and it was nice. The sun was low on the horizon as you returned to your neighborhood. You were spotted by two familiar figures ahead, Lizzie and Cove. You opened your mouth to make sure your presence was known to the two of them, and you saw tears on Cove's face. You walked straight over to Shiloh at your heels. Once there, you defended Cove. Took a moment to make a joke, accused Lizzie of causing trouble. Careful to ask what happened. Without a time machine, the only way to know what was going on was by asking the witness. Lizzie might have done something, but she could have been the wrong place at the wrong time, or even Cove's aide. You wanted to hear the story. Eli, Cove, what happened? Cove, I got yelled at. He took a deep, sighing breath. Cove, some grandparents got mad at me. Shiloh, oh, I'm sorry. Lizzie jerked her head in the direction of a nearby house. Your heart sunk. You knew exactly what happened. Every year, the same mean old couple rented our condo for the summer. You, Lizzie, Shiloh knew to stay away from the house, but Cove couldn't have. Eli, they're like with everybody, Cove. Even your mom struggled to find anything nice to say about them, but elderly parent particularly took offense to kids. It didn't matter if they were really nice like Cove. Cove, yeah, Lizzie said. Lizzie drew herself up at that. She looked, pointed in your direction. Lizzie, I was helping. That's cool. Is there anything I can do? Cove, no, I'm just gonna stay away. Lizzie, or you could teach them a lesson. There was devilish glint in her eyes. What? Cove said, what? Lizzie, you could ding-dong ditch them, go ring the doorbell, and run. It would be great, 'cause they're slow, they'll never catch you. Cove, that's dumb. I don't want to go near them ever again. Lizzie, you're saying that 'cause you're a cluck chicken? Cove glared, but didn't take the bait. Lizzie turned to you. Lizzie, you're not chicken, are you? Yeah, cluck. I'd rather just avoid them. Yeah. You looked at their house. Beside the doors lurked two beings, rich in the years but poor in patience. Maybe they deserved retaliation, but they didn't. But punishment wouldn't be coming from you. It was safer to stay away from them, and you didn't want to give them the opportunity to make Cove sad again. Eli, I'm not doing it either. Lizzie, another chicken for the coop. This is the hen house now. If we were chickens, you're a lizard, Lizzie. She wagged her tongue at her face. Lizzie, still better than being a bird brain. Chicken. The condo door opened, revealing one of the two culprits. The old man's wizened face was set and scowled, which was to say he looked exactly like he always did when you saw him. Maybe that was his normal face. Old man, why do you get loitering outside my house? Or maybe he was just always in a terrible mood. Lizzie, nothing. Old man, nothing. He repeated the words as if it was the greatest crime anyone could commit. Old man, nothing. Good. More like, get lost. It was as if he owned the space outside the house, but Cove's eyes, still red from earlier tears, were wide and thought it would be best for the old man's command. Lizzie took off, with Shiloh immediately traveling after without so much as a glance back in your direction. So much for your friendship. Lizzie waved her arm at Cove, summoning for them to follow, and ran after Lizzie. The old man's hollers propelled you from the street and sanctioned over the hill. Only once you were safe did you notice the stitch in your chest and the aches in your legs. You flopped down, the blades of grass tickling your face. Lizzie, who had taken the lead in the end, was already lazing on the ground. The four of you took the moment to catch your breaths and enjoy the feeling of the cool grass against your skin. Lizzie, hey Cove. Cove lifted his head. Lizzie, I told you there were mean grandparents around here. Cove rolled his eyes and decided this wasn't dismissive enough to roll his whole body away from your sister. Lizzie chose to ignore his response and start chatting to Shiloh, who eagerly joined in the conversation. In the back of your mind, you knew you'd always be the second fiddle against Shiloh. Once Lizzie came around, it always went that way. Okay, hold on 1 second. I knew that was gonna happen. I was gonna get cold. I knew it. Alright, anyway, shit, what was the question? I already forgot. It was fine, you thought. You still felt a little sad after how much time you spent. Damn it, I already forgot that question though. I was fine, you thought. It was annoying. I just said it's fine because I actually sort of forgot the question. Shiloh preferred. Yeah, let's just. Yeah. Oh, okay, good. Thought there was always there were other things to attend to anyway. You wriggled closer to Cove. He had calmed down for the most part and was inspecting a flower. His fingers pinched the stem and tilted the white petals towards him. Eli, that's a poppy. Cove glanced at you in acknowledgement, then back to the flower. Eli, and the type of poppies on the hill. The name White Line Poppy, Mom told me. He quirked a smile. Cove, that's funny. He ran a finger around the edge of the petals. Cove, it doesn't feel like a cloth. You need a lot of them to make anything. He nodded and released the delicate plant. Evaluation completed. Cove, this is my favorite kind of flower, but I didn't know what it was called. Thanks. Holy good lord. It's mine too. I like roses. Buttercups are really great. My favorite is snapdragons. Hibiscus are the best. Petunias are pretty. I love sunflowers. I'd pick tulips. Orchids are special. Type in own answer. I like all flowers. I don't really care about flowers. I only know what my mom tells me. I would say daisies are my favorite, actually. I love sunflowers, I do, but I love daisies. Eli. Oops, I did that wrong, whatever. You moved into the back, you moved onto your back, and with a small smile, you looked at the darkening sky. The blanket of clouds reminded you of the thick throw you curled under on cold, rainy days. You wondered if the clouds would be as soft. The lazily floated on by, splitted from each other, merging and morphing into the new shapes. You saw a dolphin, you saw a car, you saw an alpaca, you saw a smiling face, you saw cloud shapes. I say you saw a dolphin. You saw a dolphin leaping through the sky. You nudged Cove and pointed to it. Eli, look, a dolphin. You joined in gazing. Cove joined you in gazing skywards. Cove, I see it. Really? Cove, no, but I like dolphins. Eli, hey. He chuckled at your reaction. So, really, really fun fact, I never thought in a million years I'd be playing a game where I do a lot of reading. Because, fun fact, I really am not really confident in reading. I've never been really confident in my own reading. As you can tell, I struggle a lot. One, with dyslexia, and two, with the fact that my brain, for instance, like this, all the sun's light faded from the sky and the moon's rises higher. Lizzie's got 2 feet dusting strands of grass from her bare legs and surveyed her surroundings. So my brain wants to read it faster, and it can't. So it tries to fix the word fast, and then it just, everything at once kind of fucks up in my head. And I've been I'm very hesitant in my head, and then I'm very self-conscious about it. And for years, I didn't like that about myself. And so when I'm reading that to people, whether it's going to be 5 people in the stream, or as I get bigger as a streamer, whether it's 5 people, whether it's 25 people, whether it's 50 people, whether it's 100 people, it's going to be more of a viewer count. So to practice with friends versus as it gets a bigger viewer count, it's going to be something that I'm going to be more confident about. Reading Coraline, reading a book that I've read forward and back, it doesn't matter. It's still going to be something that I am going to struggle with. Because I know the book like the back of my hand, I still struggle with it. Because it's something I do. Even reading chat, my brain still does it where I read like Awkward Bean 2001. It won't, you know. I read it in my head and I'm fine, but if I have to read it out loud, it's a completely different story. So I never thought I would be a streamer where I'm reading out loud. And so it is something that I'm working on, and it's something that I'm also proud of. And now I stream it, and I'm like getting proud of myself being able to see it. And like, one, I don't like the sound of my own voice, which throws me off tremendously. But two, getting to see myself read and almost laugh at myself because I'm like, wow, I'm actually reading out loud and people are actually wanting to hear me read a story, to me is unbelievable, and it's not something I thought I was ever going to do. So, honestly, I'm actually pretty proud of myself for that one. So I just wanted to say that to everybody who is sitting and listening to me read Coraline and Our Life, because it is not something that I thought in a million years I was going to be doing. And that is why I was very hesitant about specifically this game, because it is a very, obviously it's a visual novel, so it is something that it was very hesitant to be doing. And I would joke about it with Blake, but it was something I was very hesitant about doing. But I am very proud that I did it, and I couldn't be more prouder of the fact that there are people who are willing to watch it, because it is something that I'm still very self-conscious about, and I'm working on it. And by working on it is just literally reading and having fun. So, and the fact that you guys give me a minute to bullshit around, talk for a second, and take a break, because that's why I have to bullshit a little bit, because I have to stop reading for a second, give myself a break, and then I can go back and read, because I just boom, boom, boom. Oh my god, you guys don't realize how much I would probably break down and start crying, because but I'm enjoying it though. I hope you realize that I am enjoying playing the game a lot. So, but here we go. The ocean visible from the crest of the hill, beckoning from every sweep of the tide. Lizzie, let's go to the beach. There was no argument from the other side. Shiloh was still Shiloh, and Cove would never say no to going to the shore. He was a child of the sea. You wanted to go there too. You were too tired to argue. You were happy to do what the others wanted. Objected to the plan. I wanted to go there too. Yeah, Hunter, thank you. I'm glad you understand a lot. I'm glad working on it. Thank you. You were eager to join the others and descended down the hill to the water. You stepped into the sand. Excuse me. For the second time that day, but it felt different at night. The beach was nearly quiet for an hour, abandoned at the sandcastle. Footsteps in the sand, too big and belonged to anyone. You were the second indication of how busy it had been for hours earlier. The 4 of you... I keep forgetting there's 4 of us. There's 3 pictures, but there's 4 of you total. I was very confused where the 4 person came in. And four of you kicked your shoes off, removed socks, and walked along the edge of the water and it tickled your feet. Lizzie, I wondered what happened if you tried to take a bath in the ocean with shampoo and everything. Cove, that would be bad for the fish. Lizzie, I didn't say anyone it would be. Lizzie, I didn't say anyone would do it. Jeez, you don't have to be so serious about everything. Cove, you were the one that asked what would happen. That what would happen. It would hurt the fishes. Shiloh, I like the bubble baths at home. They're a lot of fun. Lizzie, me too. Bubbles are luxurious. You never heard Lizzie use the word before. Lizzie, Mommy loves to have bubbles in her bath. She turned the lights off and candles. I'm gonna do that next time. Lizzie, hey, when your mommy's coming to pick us up anyway? Shiloh, not for a while. She's busy. Cope, what about your dad? How come you never talk about him? Nobody does. Lizzie, didn't you know you're not supposed to ask something like that? Why would someone want to talk about something they never talked about? You kept your eyes on the ground, watching your toes swallowed up by the waves. Even if Shiloh never seemed upset when the topic came up, it made you feel awkward just having both of your moms. Shiloh, it's okay. I'm like Lizzie and Eli. I don't have a dad, but I have two moms. I just have one. She's really great. Cove, oh, sorry. I just have one too. My mom isn't here. She's back home. It's just me and my dad and me. Shiloh, oh, I never had a dad or anything, so I don't feel bad. It's just sad. It's just sad that your mom is gone. Cove nodded. You joked about Shiloh's mom getting together with Cove's dad. Even if you're all different, our parents are good in their own ways. Shiloh, yeah. Cove couldn't muster a response. You don't think you truly disagreed, though. The silence broke with a splash as Lily kicked in your direction. Cold water, sodden sand splattered against your legs. Lizzie giggled, foot still outreached from the kick. Cove joined in, striking the incoming waves to make a splash of his own. Shiloh scurried out of Cove's spray zone with a grin. You made a run for it. You retaliated. You used your foot to smack the water pulling around you, sending an arc of sea foam flying back onto your sister. You laughed as she spluttered some of the salty seawater having landed into your mouth and spat it out. Lizzie, yuck. Lizzie chased you intent on revenge. You dashed up, down the coast, taking in turns in the predator and prey as well as joining forces to take down Shiloh or Cove. Alliances were silently forged and worthlessly broken. Everything was fair game in war. Shiloh, ah! Shiloh, brief exclamation drowned out by the biggest splash yet, caused by falling faces first into the ground. There would have been enough without the wave that followed, cascading over the prone body. Shiloh sat up, shaking his head like a dog coming out of the rain as you all hurried over to check on him. His hair was plastered to his head and his soaked clothes clung. If there was any part of him that was still dry, you couldn't see it. Cove, that was crazy. Are you okay? Shiloh, my foot got stuck and I fell over. Lizzie, way to go, Shiloh, you Dumbo. You offered him some help. Let him give up himself. Aw. Shiloh didn't take your outreach hand. After a moment, you dropped it. Lizzie was too busy snickering to notice and held her hand out to Shiloh, too. He reached out and took it slowly. Slowly, he started to pull himself up from the ground. He then slipped out the slick sand, dragging him and Lizzie down in the second time for the wave hit. Then the water rolled over him. Lizzie, Shiloh, sorry. What were the odds that happening twice in a row? You thought must be low. But there was no way Shiloh would have done something like that on purpose, then pretend it was an accident, especially not to Lizzie. Even if your relationship with Shiloh felt unclear, he did at least like her a lot. Lizzie was his favorite, right? Smiling boldly, Lizzie extracted herself from the ground and wiped a streak of sand from her cheek. she did intend to let this embarrass her. Shiloh got up as well at this time without incident. He still looked like a drowned puppy, but that didn't stop Cove laughing at the two of them. With that, it was time to call it a day. The four of them made the journey back up, leaving the trail of wet footsteps and sand in your wake. Damp clothes may have weighed down some of the group, but your spirits here were high. Your arms swung side to side and the cool breeze flowed past. Your moms were outside chatting with Cove's dad. Lizzie, we're back. Your mom's faces felt as if they took a state we're all in, ranging from messy to soaked. Mommy, Elizabeth, is that all that you say for yourself? You brought half of the beach back with you. They certainly did. What's Marigold's going to do with when she comes to get Shiloh? Is that how you want him to go for a long drive home, cold and filthy? Lizzie's expression turned from sulky over scolding. Being the oldest could be fun, but it also meant she was the first one to get in trouble when something went wrong. Mr. Holden, on the other hand, chuckled and ruffled Cove's matted hair. You've been out making memories, Bucko. I'm glad you had a good one with your friends. Cove used a slightly moist cast arm to push over his dad. Mr. Holden's eyes when he noticed that he had gotten wet. Now he was worried too. I think you could have found less risky way to spend your time and just as much fun. Cove's dad, that might have been right, kids, when you can do that. Come on, Cove, let's get you cleaned up and dried off. We wouldn't want that cat to have to be reset. Cove winced at the thought. Cove, Kay. Cove's dad, that a boy. Mr. Holden casually bent down and plucked Cove's off the ground, ultimately holding Cove against his chest. Sand was already transferring from Cove onto him, but that didn't seem to bother Mr. Holden. Cove protested from being carried, only got reassuring pat on the back from his troubles. Mommy, good night, Cove. Thanks for the talk, Cliff. Cove's dad, thanks, Andrew, family, and Shiloh, too. Resigned to his fate, Cove twisted his body at his dad's arm in order to turn away and say goodbye. He beamed as he reached up and waved his hand in the air. Eli, good night. Mom, well, we better do what we can to fix you guys up too. Come on, everybody inside. I want to march straight upstairs to the bathroom. Lizzie, yes, Mom. Shiloh, okay, Lizzie's mom. Mommy, don't worry about stopping to whip your feet in the mat. That's too much to do tonight. Sitting on the old beach towel your mommy had found, you waited in the hall until you were less sandy and you weren't allowed to go to your room or walk around in the house. But you did get to eat a sandwich for dinner there. I felt like an indoor picnic. It had been decided that Shiloh would wash up and borrow some clothes. He had already finished and packed away in Mom's car. Miss Fields had come to collect him a while ago. It was a bit funny experiencing him without his hat for once. Lizzie, being as much more soaked than you, got to go in the tub next. It wasn't much of a bubble bath as she had hoped. That was no fun allowed. Clean-up session, at least that's what she claimed. No much longer it would be your turn. When the bath was done, you'd go right to bed. After a day like this, you were glad you weren't any further events. Drifting off to sleep sounded like a great idea. Woo! Now that was a good story. That was a very good story. I have to say so myself. We're just gonna go dive deep in the sandcastle. We're gonna dive right down deep in the sandcastle. So Cove wasn't able to do many things that summer. When you and him and Shiloh sat on the shoreline one bright summer morning, you could tell he wanted to be in the water. But there was no way. Still working bad like your hoodie. Thank you so much, Abai. But not with this cast. The waves washed in a single shore, glittering in blue, another reminder of the places he couldn't go. From what you heard about Cove's old life so far, a tiny piece of fragments, you could tell that he'd do anything to be able to get the cast off. Even cut himself if he could. Cut it off himself if he could. Sorry, I said that wrong. I do apologize. See, that's what I'm talking about. I'll read things wrong. You thought about the summer last year. You could have been totally different things with his old home and his mom and dad. But now he was here with you and Shiloh, Lizzie, everyone else, and he couldn't even go in the sea. The town wasn't bad. It had all your favorite things, but sitting here on the beach, you'd grown up, you could understand that not everyone else felt the same way about Sunset Bird as you did. You watched him from the front of the corner eye quietly as he finally said out loud what he had been pondering. Cove, I wish I could go in. Shiloh, the water? Cove, yeah. Shiloh, I'm sorry, you're gonna be able to do it soon. Cove signed in response. Apparently soon wasn't soon enough. Shiloh, it's pretty though, the ocean. Cove, and huge. That could be pretty anything out there. The mermaids. Shiloh, yeah. I wish you didn't have a cast. I really don't care. Swimming might be fun, if we could. I'm fine here on land. Mermaids aren't real. I wish you didn't have a cast. Cove, me too. Obviously not interested in hearing much more you input on the situation. Cove turned back to the water. But as he looked away, something about Shiloh's slow, careful movements caught his eye. Cove, are you building a sandcastle? Shiloh, sort of. I was playing around where you were talking, and I'm listening. Cove, maybe I could. I've only made piles before. Shiloh, it's really nothing special. I'm sure I'd be good. You'll be good at it right away. Cove, how do I do it then? Shiloh's cheeks lit up. You could tell that it was a little bit uncomfortable to have Cove expect to stare at him. Eli, I'll play too. I love making sand stuff. I never really made one before. There's nothing else to do. Shiloh, okay. He put his hands back on his seashells and sand and nodded. Shiloh, I don't do a lot. Here's what I like to get the house started. Shiloh focused more intently and never seen him guide Cove through the process. He happily used his own method. It didn't take long to prepare the three of you to humble structure prepared. Shiloh, that's all, kind. You can do anything you like make it bigger, add some seashells, carve a pretty pattern. I bet you have some great ideas. Cove, I'm gonna make it bigger. Mine is gonna be a real castle. Shiloh, this is gonna be a house. Look at the base of the sandcastle. You decided to make a house, a castle, a mansion, a castle. Look at the base of the sandcastle. You decided a fancy castle. The better part of the next hour was spent focusing on your own work. The boys were the same. Even Shiloh didn't sneak any peeks at anyone else's as usual did. As you finished shaping, glancing up at what you built, it seems you did so fast because you already searched around for extra decorations. Shiloh grabbed most of really interesting stuff, and you and Cove had a lot of the shells, but there were still options. The first thing you reached for was red bottle caps, blue shells, pieces of sea glass. Blue shells. It was the first best fit for your castle. You decided the blue color of it reminded you of the clear water. So you displayed it in front of the center, making it the headline feature of your whole thing. Pleased with the result of your finally took a proper look that wasn't focused on your sand itself. Both Cove and Shiloh seemed super immersed still. You knew you could probably sneak a peek at either one's work. You checked out Cove's sandcastle. You checked out Shiloh's. You decided not to look. I said, I look at Cove. You look at Cove's and built surprisingly tidy, especially for someone in a cast. You must have worked really hard. It wasn't even finished, a huge part, gaping moat, and it was already ginormous. You got the sense from the enthusiasm he was digging with that doctor was probably going to find a bunch of sand. He just finally removed the pink plaster. The silence was then broken. Cove, what's on top of yours, Shiloh? He peeked closer and discovered something shiny sleeking out of Shiloh's sand chimney. Oh, it's a gum wrapper. It looks like smoke. Cove, that's good. That's smart. I didn't think of that. Yeah, I didn't think of that. I guess I didn't see that. You should be an architect. It looks like more like a worm. Yeah, I didn't think of that. Eli, you know a lot about this. He smiled without a word. And that was that for that current topic. Cove, Eli, can I see what you did? Sure. I scooted a bit nearer and began surveying your work. The castle you built was pretty impressive. All I considered it had been arched tall walls and even moat circling it. You could probably feel safe living there. Maybe your moms would be queens. Shiloh quickly decided to jump in the new conversation. Shiloh, Eli, hey Eli, what did you do? Eli, it's a castle. Shiloh, didn't look so happy anymore. Shiloh, you both built castles. Cove, yeah. Oh, that's neat. You guys match. It's too bad we didn't all do it. Next time we should. Cove, that would be boring. Cove, if something is the only one of that wouldn't make it special. Shiloh, for sandcastles and stuff. Cove, people too. My dad always says how somebody is their own man, a real individual. Shiloh, I don't think I'm very special. Cove, why not? Nobody is. You. Shiloh simply shook his head. Shiloh, I'm not different. A beat passed between the two. Cove then looked down at his own work again. Cove, okay. He didn't seem to be bothered leaving the disagreement hanging there. Cove had other things on his mind. Cove, my dad tried to make me a sandcastle the first time we came to the beach. I didn't want to. Cove trailed off again. There was another moment of silence. Shiloh shifted and opened his mouth to say something. But Cove spoke up before he could and didn't think he noticed Shiloh was going to talk. Cove, how do you know what happened when your moms met my dad, Eli? You cocked your head thinking about it briefly. Eli, I wasn't there. They didn't tell me. Eli, I just remember what happened when I met your dad. Mr. Holden had been a weird stranger when he was kind of strange. No parent acted like him, but he knew him better at this point. Now, when you thought about it, it made a lot of sense that Cove's dad talked to him about people being unique. You pulled from your thoughts when Cove continued. Cove, oh well, I was there. Shiloh, I don't think my mom has met your dad. Cove, I'm pretty sure he hasn't. Eli's parents and my dad met the same day I met them. I'm gonna say what happened. Shiloh frowned himself, ducking his head. His hat cast a shadow over his face. He could still tell he was upset of not being included in Cove's change of topic. That was kind of boring for him. Thought giving people their own turn to say the things they want is important too. I think Shiloh wants to talk. He stayed silent and let Cove finish his story. Just really quick, if anybody's new, hi, my name's Bisky. I'm a variety streamer, and right now we are playing Our Life Beginning and Always. Really quick, we're gonna save this real fast just in case something is to happen and I don't have to redo all this. Shiloh could talk after his stuff, and Cove had a chance to share what was planned. Cove, we moved here. We didn't bring a lot with us. Only some stuff would fit in my dad's car. We didn't even get a moving truck. Cove, I sat in there while Dad brought it all inside. Cove, I didn't want to get out because I knew Dad would make me look around the new house. I really didn't want to do that. His lips twisted and frowned as he recalled that. Cove, then I saw your moms. They were in the car too, and I stopped at your house. Yes, I guess they were coming back from somewhere or something. My dad noticed. He waved his hands. They went over to the front of your house, and they were talking to them. Cove, I didn't know what they said. I couldn't hear it. Cove, but he couldn't see me anymore since I was looking the other way. Cove, so I opened the car door and I left. I wanted to get away, and when behind the houses I found those hills, the ones where we met for the first time. Eli, Cove nodded, then stared at you. You stared back. He didn't go on to say any more. Eli, what? That's all you wanted to say? Cove, brows wrinkled. He didn't understand why you were surprised. Cove, that's what happened. Okay. Why didn't you want to tell the story if nothing happened? You really got to get better at storytelling. That was a pretty bad story. Thanks for telling me. Cove, you're welcome. If not much of a story, you were going to complain about not knowing the story. Shiloh's mouth twisted and scowled in disbelief, but he said nothing. Eli, why'd you bring it up anyway? There was a slight shrug Cove's shoulders. Cove, I was thinking about it because the sandcastles, that made me remember when I moved here. Dad showed me the beach for the first time before we went back up to the car to unpack. Cove, he was really excited about it for some reason. Cove's brows frowned a little more as he quietly raked his hands through the sand. Eli, I get it. You thought maybe Mr. Holden wasn't that excited about the beach and was instead hoping Cove might be. But the line of conversation had come to an end. Even Cove was done with it. Some other topic had popped into his head. Shiloh, fidgetly, uncomfortably in the sand, had made Cove aware of his presence again. They looked at each other, and you could only wonder what might be about. Cove, hey Shiloh. Shiloh, yeah? Cove, you could always... Why are you always turning so red, even when nothing is happening? Clearly startled, he jerked back. Neither you or Shiloh had expected that to be... He got included in the conversation again. Shiloh, I don't know, I guess. Cove, okay, it's kind of weird. Shiloh's eyes were wide in embarrassment, and his lip twitched, and he was blushing even harder than before. Maybe it wasn't, this. Perhaps it was simply the last straw. It was a big deal to Shiloh, a huge deal. It was, he didn't just look sad, he seemed almost panicked. You weren't sure he was about to cry, run away, or what, but soon you got an answer. Shiloh, why do you wear glasses? Most kids don't wear glasses, and nobody is named Cove. Who asked you to come? It was probably just your dad bugging Eli's family some more, because you don't have anyone else who ever plays with you. Cove. Cove blinked. The tension on the beach was suddenly uncomfortable in a way you didn't know how to move past. It didn't seem like any kind of thing that you'd get upset about, though you'd have never known what kind of thing would bother Shiloh. Shiloh, I'm sorry. Cove, me too, I was just wondering. Hey, let's build another sandcastle. You tried to play on your own. Are you gonna build more? You nervously messed up the sand. Eli, the day is going to be over soon. Shiloh, Eli, you're right. The sun is going down fast. You all went back to making more sand buildings, but the whole mood had changed. Shiloh's cheeriness was clearly gone, and Cove looked confused as ever about the other boy had blown up. The air stayed uncomfortable the rest of the afternoon, right up to the moment Shiloh's mom appeared and took him at the beach and take him home. At least you tried to do something to resolve it, and it seemed like it helped. Even though Shiloh smiled when he said goodbye, and Cove waved it and stayed as bright as ever for you, it had counted for something. But Shiloh gone, the sun going down, you knew it was time for you and Cove to head to your own houses. You led the way, your path back home. The walk home was quiet. You passed by familiar landmarks, shoe thumping against the sidewalk in a near perfect unison. Cove was clearly caught up in thinking about something. You asked Cove what he was thinking. You stayed silent. You didn't want to leave it just hanging in the air. You decided to ask. Eli, why are you making that face? Cove, I was just wondering. Cove fell silent again and a few more seconds and sighed. Why'd Shiloh act like that when I said all the red, like, when he was all red like that a lot? You were being rude to him. He was just acting like a baby. You should have made fun of him. I don't know, it's just Shiloh. He gets embarrassed. He shrugged at Cove with no answers to give. I don't know, it's just Shiloh. Eli, he's like that sometimes. Cove, but he wasn't like that with you. Eli, I've known him longer? I guess I can get that. Why he would do that. Sometimes I really get mad too. Despite seemingly coming to a conclusion, Cove's mood was sour still. Cove, Eli, was Shiloh telling the truth? Huh? His gaze left yours as he dug his soul into the ground. Sole of his shoe into the ground. He looked oddly vulnerable for a second. My dad, make you hang out with me. I know he talks to your moms a lot. As an uncomfortable weight settled to your chest, you liked spending time with Cove. You didn't even have time to think hard. you knew you did. But you couldn't help feeling guilty. Cove didn't know what happened when you met Mr. Holden. Nobody is making me spend time with you. Your dad does do stuff. Your dad does do stuff so you'll hang out with family, but Shiloh shouldn't have said that. You decided to tell him about your dad offering you money. Okay, really quick, I'm saving this. Well, remember when you talked to your parents and how I met? Yeah? I kinda had something that you didn't know about when we met your dad. As you struggled to find the right words, Cove looked at you passively. You met his gaze and your stomach twisted in knots. I was walking home and sitting in the steps. It must have been after you ran away. My moms weren't there. I think they were looking for you. Your dad saw me, got up. Mr. Holden told me that you just moved next door to mine. Cole was still listening. His expression was as plain as before. You paused, kept going. You told the full story. Even if it was supposed to be a secret, you thought you could. Cove should still know. Your dad gave me $20 if I would be your friend. Cove was so still. You thought he hadn't heard you. His eye wide in his mouth. There was no sound. Silence stretched. It was almost tangibly. You shifted. It was just so tense. Eli, say something. He looked up. He was going to cry. You were certain of it. Eli, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Cove raised his hands. His fingers pressed his eyes, hiding them from your eyesight. Then, right up to the middle of his little and right up in the middle of the street, the tears began to fall. His shoulders shook. The force of his sobs, you could glimpse the wetness, the cracks, the finger slips, the cheeks. I wanted to be honest. Let's be fair. I wanted to be honest to him. I want this to work. I wanted to be honest to him. I'm not gonna lie. I wanted to be honest to him. I knew I was gonna make him cry, but I wanted to be honest. Hey, Eli. Hey, you shouldn't cry because of that. You stepped closer. You placed your hand on his head. You touched his shoulder. You stayed by him. Awkwardly, you reached over and you rested your hand on his shoulder. But Cove shook his body from your side to side, rejecting your presence. Cove, go away. You flinched at this shout. Oh my gosh! Violet! Thank you! Oh my gosh! Thank you, Violet! I appreciate that! Wow, thank you. Bunk. Okay. You guys got a wild hotto. You flinched at the shout, and you stood there listening to him cry, and you felt uncomfortably over the scene he was making, concern for him, regret for telling him about the money, bad over everything. You wished you were still making sandcastles at the beach before Cove. Sad. Shiloh meant everything. Cove continued to weep. Worse, his voice raised volume. You were frozen in place. The situation was awful. You kept feeling worse every second. Stop being so loud. Please don't cry. I'm sorry, Cove. You hugged him. You started crying too. You stepped up. Put your arms around him. Cove squirmed away from you again, though you ducked his head. It was a full rejection. You heard a door opening. You flinched, preparing themselves. See, mean old Graydon's preparing. At this hour, most people weren't around, either because they weren't working downtown, but the grandparents rarely left the house except to complain at the children noise. Trent, you didn't want Cove to have to deal with that right now. You tried to come up with something you could do for him, for the situation, for anything. But the door that stood open now didn't belong to the grandparents. To your utter surprise and relief, it was Cove's own. His dad was already home. As he peeked the door, Mr. Holden momently looked unsure. Perhaps he had a suspicion on the noise outside. It wasn't entirely positive, though a kid crying is pretty distinct. Aren't a lot of kids. Maybe he didn't want to believe something might have gone wrong with his son. His face fell as he stopped. Source of the commotion, it was pained, it was scared, and reminded you of one he warned the first night you met Cove. Mr. Holden didn't go down the steps in the front of his own house. He jumped right over them, stumbled into a run. He skidded to the stop before Cove, bent down to one knee and scolded, cupped Cove's teary face to his hands. Cove's dad, what's wrong? Are you hurt anyone? Cove continued to cry, unwilling, to cough out any explanation. Not taking his hands from Cove, Mr. Holden turned to you in explanation and imploring. Eli, Cove asked if anyone made me hang out with him. I told him the truth. You tried to give me money. As you spoke, Mr. Holden's chest rose as he impelled a deep, shaky breath, accumulating in a gasp at your final words. Why would you? He clamped his mouth shut, shaking his hands. He faced his crying son again. Cove's dad, no, it's my fault. I shouldn't have done that. Something like that in the first place. He cast his eyes, sighing when he spoke. It wasn't part of his conversation anymore. It was barely loud enough for you to catch his words. Cove's dad, Eli's only a kid. Tears were still streaming down Cove's face. Sadly, Mr. Holden wiped Cove's cheeks with a thumb. He furrowed his brows and looked down at the ground. When he glanced up, his mouth was set to determination. Mr. Holden finally took his hands off Cove. He reached down to his wallet, confused, when he started his little rectangle that only adults seemed to carry in some shape or form. It hadn't been a source of all his problems. You were sure that Cove wouldn't be reminded of this right now. Mr. Holden was clearly of a different mind to you. He inexplicably retrieved another $20 bill, rolled it up, and raised it to Cove's face. Cove's eyes were hidden behind tightly clamped fingers, so Mr. Holden poked the nose with the bill, peeked between his hands, grunted as he saw his hand been prodded with. Even if surrounded by sobs, you were glad that something else had finally left Cove's mouth. Cove, hey Cove, stop crying, I'll give you the cash if you do. Cove dropped his hands from his face, if he had already been red and wet with tears. But now his features were scrunched up and scrawled. Not for the first time, you questioned Mr. Holden's tactics. He had used his two hands, but Cove firmly shoved his dad's own hands away. But Mr. Holden had just chuckled at Cove's reaction and tossed the money aside. It unfurled as it flew through the air, rising before slowly drifting to the ground. But Mr. Holden took Cove's outstretched wrist and lowered them to Cove's sides, stopping him from hiding his face once again. Cove's dad clearly wasn't going to let this go, huffing. Cove turned his whole head away, tearing continued to roll down his cheeks, and he glowered at the ground. Cove's dad, you can buy a lot of cool things with that, but you can't do everything, can it? Cove didn't respond, even to look at his father. Continued, Cove's dad, your old dad looks like to make things nice for you with the money he earns, but you're smart. You know that I haven't really done anything. Cove's dad, I can make you sad and upset, just like right now, and I'm sorry. Cove sniffled, and harsh line brow mellowing. Mr. Holden squeezed Cove's hand as he continued. Cove, Cove's dad. Eli is smart too, right? Mr. Holden spoke in a soft, encouraging tone, and Cove continued to calm. Cove's dad. You have nothing to worry about, except for me. Mr. Holden chuckled. Cove pressed his lips together, mulling over his father's words, though a stream of tears had eased. Drops still bubbled in his eyes and threatened to spill out. Cove's dad. I love you, son, so much more than anybody else. Sometimes that makes me a little bit too hasty to see happy, and I make it all worse, and I'm really sorry. Scrunching his eyes tight, Cove nodded. When his eyes opened, they were red and glossy, and there were no tears left in perceived to lower lashes. Allowed from his occasional sniff, he was mostly back to his usual self and swallowed. Cove, okay. Though Cove refused to echo Mr. Holden's exact words, the sentiment seemed to be enough for his dad. He moved his hands under Cove's armpits and hustled Cove in a higher grin. Cove's hands flew through the air, his glasses holding on them back from falling off. Cove's lips were shut tight as they betrayed by telling the telltale smile of his eyes that were trying hard to hide. Mr. Holden laughed, lowering Cove so they were securely pinned against his chest. Cove looked away, face angled towards the ground. Now his dad could no longer see him. He was allowing a smile. Mr. Holden might have missed it, but you didn't. Cove wiggled, pushing a hand against his dad's shoulders. Cove, can I go back down now? Cove's dad, yeah. Mr. Holden set Cove gently down on the ground, waiting until his feet found their footing and released him entirely. Cove, I have something to do. Wait here. As Cove wandered, Mr. Holden's gaze stuck to him like glue. You sighted the downcast. You felt weird that you had been able to fix Standout while unfolded. You weren't able to fix it. Eli, how come I couldn't make him feel better? Cove's dad, don't worry about it, please. We don't need another tragedy today. He wrinkled, and you weren't impressed. Cove's dad, hey, I mean that. The first part, anyway. There's only so much you can do to try to fix somebody else's mistake. He smiled sincerely at me. Cove's dad, you've done plenty for Cove. Just the fact that you were honest with him when his own dad wasn't proves it. Cove's dad, thanks for being such a good kid. I hope this doesn't keep you from spending time with my boy. As the sound of his name summoned him, Cove returned, clutching the bill his dad had cast aside earlier. You cocked your head, and Cove's dad raised his eyebrow. Cove looked at the crumbled note and then walked over and held it out to you. Cove, I stopped crying, but I don't want this. You can have it. He gave you a smile behind him. Mr. Holden watched as Cove clearly relieved. You sharing the feeling. Cove was making peace with the deal that happened behind his back. You decided to take it. You decided not to take it. Gingerly, he pinched a slip of paper between your fingers and slowly, he continued to smile at you. Gripping the note, you smiled back at him. Although you struggled to find the words at the moment, you knew that the gift was more than the number of pennies worth at the bank. It was a sign that Cove's trust you believed you. Eli, thanks. Cove continued to look at you softly, his eyes wide, earnest. Cove, yeah. You considered using the money secretly to buy something nice for Cove. You treasured the keychain Cove had once bought you. It would be nice to give a little gift as a token of your friendship in return. Mr. Holden stood up. During step one Cove deal he wanted to make with you. Mr. Holden stood up, stretching his arm casually. Well, then, it's about time to make you dinner. Me and the Rugrat need to be going now. You probably should too. I bet your mom wanted to see you. Alright. Bye. Have a good night and thanks, Eli. Father and son waved as you turned around and went back home, the note clenched tightly in your hand. You felt lighter. Okay. So it is actually on the dot 12:30. So you guys, let's go figure out who we're gonna raid because I have no idea. Leisha did really well today. Holy moly. My voice hurts a lot. Let's go see who we're gonna raid, because I have no idea. We're gonna do Reyna. She's pretty cool. Okay, so we're gonna go raid her. As always, thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed, and have a wonderful day. Okay, bye.